He was exhausted, his breath coming in gasps. The sharp sword swung, severing the head of a demon beast. Fresh blood erupted, splattering everywhere. He kept counting with a hoarse voice. Each monster that fell increased the number 30,000. 37, 448, 900, 891, 892, 893. The sword was stained with the filthy blood of the demon beasts, but he didn't take a moment to wipe it clean. A thought suddenly flashed in his weary mind. Since when had the world become like this? It felt like everything had started long ago, so long that memories had become vague. The numbers kept rising: 37, 448, 894, 895, 896. Everything began on a distant day when humans still innocently enjoyed a peaceful life. Suddenly, a strange phenomenon appeared in the sky, but no one paid attention, still lost in their own joys. Only a little girl with clear eyes looked up, pointed to the sky, and exclaimed in a childish voice, "Mom! Mom, look at the moon!" Those innocent words made everyone turn their heads to look. The moon no longer held its familiar full roundness, but twisted strangely as if distorted by an invisible force until it completely disappeared. In its place, a pitch-black gate appeared floating in midair. The gate burst open. From inside, countless black columns of energy shot down to the ground. The crowd panicked, whispering to each other, "What is this, a lunar eclipse?" A man with sparkling eyes excitedly raised his newly bought telescope and laughed loudly. "Ha ha, my telescope finally has a use." But when he looked through the lens, his smile froze. Sweat poured down and he shakily said, "Hey, what kind of demon is that at the top?" From the gate, hordes of strange beasts poured out. Each one had a bizarre shape, growling threateningly. From then on, endless hordes of strange beasts flooded everywhere, occupying every deep land in their world. A golden key from a high-level dungeon was the only hope to close the gate. If humans failed to find it in time, the beasts would break the boundary between the two worlds, bringing unimaginable disaster. A group of extraordinary warriors called the Awakened rose up. Their mission was to find the key before the demon beasts overwhelmed the human world. They kept slashing and killing, but as soon as one group of beasts fell, another surged forward. A member of the group shouted in a deep, determined voice, "We're here to clear the path. You hurry up front to find the key." The red-haired young man didn't hesitate and rushed in the direction his teammates pointed. "Got it, I'm going." Relying on the group of warriors to fully eliminate the demon beasts and clear a bloody path, he advanced through the dangers. The young man finally reached the place where the key was kept. He stopped, his sharp eyes scanning around, whispering to himself, "This place should be safe now, right?" Confirming no threats remained, he carefully stored 2 knives in his belt and reached out to touch the shining golden key, an item carrying the hope of saving all humanity. The red-haired young man lifted the golden key, eyes intently observing, his heart heavy with doubt. Is this the key to close the space? As soon as he inserted the key into the pitch-black gate, it closed with a rumbling sound. The moon seemed freed, gradually appearing with its familiar full roundness. The crowd looked up in astonishment, murmuring, "Hey, the white veil has returned to normal." The young man's hand, still gripping the key in the lock, pondered silently. What if I turn it the other way? The Awakened quickly realized the secret of the key. It could not only close, but also open the gate under controlled conditions. The demon beasts inside were no longer a disaster, but turned into valuable resources. From then on, the era of the Awakened officially began. 5 years later, countless Awakened groups were formed. They saw opening the gate and entering the demon beast world as an opportunity to get rich. On a steep cliff in the dark space beyond the gate, a hand loosened, letting his body fall freely into the abyss. The cruel eyes of the demon beasts stopped and watched him, gritting his teeth, heavy-hearted, thinking, "I'm just a nobody in the eyes of the Awakened, no different than an ant." His body slammed hard onto the dry ground. Rocks shattered, scattering everywhere. The scent of fresh blood immediately attracted the rushing demon beasts. Facing death, his mind was filled with helplessness. But as death loomed near, a saving image flashed: a girl with radiant blonde hair, a smile like the morning sun. He whispered with a trembling voice, "Is that you?" In the moment of rescue, the power he had longed for suddenly surged within his body. But that very power later haunted him for life. Everything rewinds to a moment before at the advanced dungeon void Forbidden Hill. The Awakened group was fiercely fighting the demon beasts. The young man swung his sword, the sharp steel blade striking down relentlessly, leaving the demon beast no time to resist. Blood splattered from the wound, the beast collapsed and died instantly. He stood there, eyes full of admiration. Oh. After the awakened cleared the demon beasts, it was the logistics team's turn. The leader stepped forward and slapped his shoulder hard, urging, "Why are you spacing out? It's our turn to work now, Phuong Van Keep." He nodded repeatedly in response. Yes, yes, yes. The young logistics leader spoke with a deep-spirited voice to encourage, "Everyone in logistics get pumped. For me, there's not much time left." Phuong Van Keep, who just turned 18 this year, was a logistics staff member in the dungeon. Since the portal to the other world opened, the awakened had to race against time to kill as many demon beasts as possible before they vanished. To support the logistics profession, the dungeon was created. Their mission was to supply materials to the awakened and collect precious items from demon beasts. Although the awakened cleared the way ahead, danger still lurked. If even one demon beast slipped through logistics would face death, which was hard to avoid. Most of the porters in the dungeon were low-level awakened. Rarely was there an ordinary person like Phuong Van Keep. He cut open the belly of a demon beast, carefully examined inside, then shook his head and announced, "There's nothing valuable." Silently he sighed in his heart. "If not for Teodu lying unconscious in the hospital, I wouldn't be risking my life like this. 1 trip a day, 10,000 is enough to cover the hospital bills." The blonde guy was also an awakened. "Phew, so tired I'm dead. Bring a bottle of water here." Hearing the call, Phuong Van Keep hurried over. He replied, "On my way, on my way." The blonde guy glanced at his bloodied arm touching the water bottle. Immediately frowning, he shouted, "Touching demon beasts without washing your hands!" Faced with the guy's anger, Van Keep just bowed his head and didn't dare argue. He was too used to such scolding. Holding a bunch of water bottles, he loudly asked, "Anyone else need water?" At that moment, a long-haired guy sneaked up and whispered to his buddy, "Tonka is such a useless logistics guy. He really doesn't know his place." Phuong Van Keep was full of doubt, wondering, what does Teodu see in him? Seeing Tuong Ton approach, he hastily held out a bottle of water and politely offered Ton Ka. "Do you want some water?" The man with a cross-shaped scar all over his face, Tuong Ton coldly glanced down. His contemptuous gaze was like a sharp knife. Without a word, he violently knocked the water bottles from Van Keep's hands, scattering them everywhere. With the strength of an awakened like Tuong Ton, just one kick was enough to send an ordinary person like Van Keep flying to the side. He roared with fury, "You bastard! You dare to charge in and beat him up to vent for me!" The subordinates obeyed the order. Not bringing water, they immediately rushed forward. Heavy punches rained down continuously on Van Keep's face, hard enough to make him cough up blood. He collapsed in pain, writhing, but the thugs didn't stop. Taking turns kicking him fiercely, Van Keep trembled and raised his hand, voice breaking as he begged, "Please, why are you hitting me?" Tuong Ton mercilessly stepped on Van Keep's head, pressing his face down onto the gravel-filled ground. He shouted sarcastically, "You rotten brat don't know the sky from the earth and still dare to ask why. Do you want me to explain so I can be the laughingstock?" The towering mountain piercing the white clouds seemed to witness the cruel scene. Tuong Ton dragged Van Keep's blood-soaked body, leaving a long streak of blood splattered on the ground. The subordinates fawned and laughed loudly. "Ton Ka is so mighty! Brother Ton Ka could wipe out the ruins and come to the cliff." Van Keep's swollen, distorted face looked like a pig's head. But from beginning to end, he still didn't understand the reason. He whispered weakly, "Tonka, what are you saying? I can't understand anything. Are you sure you have the wrong person?" Tuong Ton's eyes flashed with malice. He grabbed his hair and pulled him up so his body dangled over the edge of the mountain cliff, hanging precariously over the deep abyss with no bottom in sight. Even a slight movement could make the rocks tumble down. He laughed coldly with a steely voice. "Wrong person. Ha ha, you really make me laugh when I'm angry." Tuong Ton's hand tightened around Van Keep's neck. His 5 fingers dug deep into the flesh. The terrifying strength cut off the blood flow. His body trembled violently, almost suffocating. Tuong Ton growled with disdain, "You're about to die and still dare to argue!" "Phuong Van Keep, do you think I would mistake you?" His hand squeezed Van Keep's throat tightly, causing him painful coughing fits. Fresh blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. Wheezing, Tuong Ton shouted fiercely, eyes blazing with rage for all to see. "You stupid, useless trash dare to fight me for my stuff! I can't struggle anymore!" He finished speaking. He released his grip, no longer holding on to anything. Phuong Van Keep's body plunged straight down into the bottomless abyss. Desperately, he reached out, trying to grasp a faint hope, but it was all emptiness. Tung Ton stood coldly above, watching without any remorse. A smirk curled on his lips as he laughed mockingly. "Ha ha, even in death you're that cowardly." A subordinate chimed in with a flattering tone. "To Can-Do must have been blinded by a dog to care about him." Tung Ton roared orders. "Destroy the key and seal the dungeon. I want him dead." The subordinates immediately obeyed. They snapped the golden key in two and threw it straight into the abyss. Van Keep's body fell freely, crashing against the rocky cliff. Finally, he slammed hard onto the ground. The terrible impact shattered the rocks. The earth trembled. The wounds from the previous beating combined with the fall from such height nearly shattered a normal body like his. But miraculously, he was still alive. He was amazed and painfully thought, "Am I still not dead?" Struggling to open his eyes, the first image that hit him was a huge ghost beast standing towering in front of him. Van Keep dragged his body, but the heavy wounds made it hard to move, let alone run away. He groaned in despair, his body no longer under control. The ghost beast roared, swinging sharp claws to pin him to the ground. Snap. It bared sharp teeth ready to devour him. Just as its teeth were about to touch his flesh, another ghost beast suddenly rushed in and knocked the attacker away. Fung Van Kip felt a silent relief, a glimmer of hope. Am I saved? But that joy was quickly crushed by reality. Loud explosive sounds erupted as a pack of ferocious ghost beasts charged in. Only then did Van Keep realize the earlier ghost beast's intervention wasn't luck. On the contrary, the stench of blood leaking from his body had attracted the entire pack surrounding him in a deadly encirclement. He clutched his bleeding arm tightly, legs trembling as he pushed himself to run and cling to life. Damn it, my body is still covered in wounds. Luckily, the fat and slow-moving ghost beasts gave him a slight chance to escape. But that hope didn't last long. A one-eyed ghost beast with disgusting wings flapped fiercely, chasing closely behind. Its terrifying screech echoed "Ke-ke-ke." Fung Van Keep gritted his teeth in anger. He picked up a rock from the ground and shouted, "Even something as small as you dares to bully me. Get lost." Then he shouted, "Take this," and threw the rock hard, hitting the beast's only eye. Fresh blood splattered. The one-eyed ghost beast howled in pain. Deafening screams filled the air. The scene before Van Keep stunned him. His heart pounded. Could this be the legendary mutation awakening? The rage seemed to trigger something. The small ghost beast from before suddenly transformed in pain, swelling into a giant monster with long, writhing tentacles. Behind it, dozens of glowing red eyes of other ghost beasts flashed in the darkness. The beast swung its tentacles directly toward Van Keep. He shouted in horror, "I'm done for, just one strike!" His body was thrown violently, crashing hard against the rock wall. The beast's terrible strength pierced through his chest, leaving a fatal wound. Fung Van Keep's eyes dimmed as he saw his ribs exposed through the gaping wound. Blood spilled from his mouth with violent coughing fits. Looking helplessly at the fatal wound, he whispered in a hoarse voice, "This time I really can't make it back." The necklace around his neck was cut off by the beast's blow and fell to the ground. A harsh clinking sound rang out as the pendant hit the ground, breaking the glass and revealing a photo of a girl with shiny blonde hair and a smile like morning sunshine. Van Keep lay flat on the ground, breathing shallow and ragged. He tried to reach out to touch the photo, but his body was drained of strength and could not move. The pack of beasts, sensing fresh blood, surged forward with a roar. A fierce beast stomped hard on his arm, shattering the bones beyond recognition. Pain tore through Van Keep's heart, but he didn't care. In his mind, only regret remained for To Can-Do. The unfinished promises echoed, "Wait for me to earn money, I'll take you to the best hospital. Invite the best doctors." He murmured painfully, "Looks like this time I'll have to break my promise." Tears uncontrollably streamed down his blood-stained cheeks. His shattered, trembling arm reached out trying to touch the photo, but all was in vain. He sobbed with a broken voice, "Can-Do, I'm sorry!" "Boo-hoo-hoo!" His tears of sorrow mixed with the deep red blood pooling beneath him. The stunned beasts hadn't yet understood what was happening when a brilliant light suddenly burst forth. The light tore through space, crushing the surrounding beasts and shooting straight up, illuminating the entire dungeon. In the dazzling light, Van Keep dreamily opened his eyes. The powerful light seemed to pull him back from the brink of death. Fung Van Keep was stunned, unable to believe his eyes. Before him appeared a radiant, golden-haired angel. White feathered wings glowed with a magical light. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't see her face clearly. A gentle breeze blew, swirling the feathers as they floated in the air, making the scene even more mystical, like stepping into a dream world. An invisible voice echoed from the system, "Do you want to gift the divine angel talent?" The angel replied softly and clearly, yes. The system continued, "The giver will lose this talent. Do you want to proceed?" She still responded gently, yes. But when the system asked if the recipient should be informed, this time she answered no. The system announced the divine angel talent was being gifted. The angel placed her hand on Van Keep's forehead, her voice gentle like a lullaby of a small lifespan. Immediately, a dazzling light flared up between his brows. All her talent flowed into his body like a stream of water. The angel whispered, "Carry my trust." "Carry my talent? Live well, Van Keep." Startled awake, his wounds had healed as if they never existed. His eyes shone with a miraculous transformation. A shimmering halo appeared above his head, and from his back sprouted a pair of pure white feathered wings. He spread his hands as energy surged and condensed into a giant radiant sword. The moment he grasped the sword's hilt, his body was empowered and strength exploded. Van Keep softly exclaimed, "Ah!" His whole body radiated a terrifying aura. He glanced down at the beasts growling below. With cold, resolute eyes, he swung the sword down. A brilliant purple beam shot straight from the sky, tearing space apart. Countless beasts were sliced to pieces, blood spraying everywhere, turning into a pile of flesh and bones. Van Keep flapped his wings and soared through the rain of blood, his figure proud like a war god. The system warned the awakened must quickly adapt to the talent. A few remaining beasts, barely alive after the massacre, groaned and growled weakly with no strength to resist. Fung Van Keep didn't bother to finish them off. His white-feathered wings beat fiercely as he shot forward at terrifying speed, piercing through a beast that had slipped through the net. The collision shattered its head, blood and flesh splattered everywhere. He roared with contempt, "If you're a fish that slipped through, get out so I can see you." The one-eyed demon beast from earlier was still gasping for breath. Van Keep roared furiously, "You bastard, I'm here!" He swung his giant sword down in a sharp strike. The demon beast reacted quickly, raising its tentacle to block. The system immediately issued a warning, "Using the divine angel talent is nearing its limit." A blazing red laser shot from the beast's single eye, aimed straight at him. Van Keep hastily raised his pure white wings as a shield. Gritting his teeth to withstand it, he muttered in a suppressed voice, "Am I being suppressed?" Realizing he was at a disadvantage. His heart grew heavy with despair. Sure enough, I'm just an ordinary person in this world. Every awakened one looks down on me. The system suddenly responded coldly, "Wrong. Warning. The awakened one is incompatible with the talent." The demon beast was unfazed by the laser swinging its giant claws straight at Van Keep. He remained lost in helpless thoughts. These demons want to torture me to death. And the system urgently warned again, "The awakened one's resentment is overloaded. The system is about to collapse." At this moment, a pitch-black aura began to invade his eyes. As the demon's claws closed in just inches away, Van Keep's body erupted with swirling black energy. He shouted in fury, "I will kill you all!" The system's notifications scrambled continuously. Program error. System restarting. Program crash error. The demon's claws lunged forward, but Van Keep, with incredible speed, stabbed his sword straight into its palm. Fresh red blood oozed from the wound, staining the ground. Phuong Van Keep gritted his teeth, his breath faint and wavering. "You bastards dare to look down on me." The sword in his hand trembled violently. A sinister black aura spread from the sword's hilt, crawling up the blade and turning it pitch black. The transformation stopped only when the entire sword was engulfed in darkness. The stab through the palm made the one-eyed demon beast roar in anger, its cry echoing loudly. The halo above Van Keep's head began to shatter, signaling that resentment had fully taken over his mind. His entire body was wrapped in a dark blue-black hue with no light remaining. He muttered, "This is rage, I will kill you all." The demon beast, not yet realizing death was near, growled fiercely. It swung its tentacles straight at him. Black energy surged around Van Keep's body as he shouted, "Come here! Come here!" The system announced, "Mutation talent, intense black energy explosion." It wrapped around the beast's tentacle as it reached his head, but Van Keep was unharmed. On the contrary, the demon's tentacle was sliced in two by precise, sharp sword strikes. Only then did the demon beast's face reveal extreme panic, but Van Keep's anger had not yet subsided. He narrowed his eyes, his gaze like a sharp blade piercing the beast, making it clearly feel who truly ruled the demons. Its one eye trembled in fear as it stood frozen, unable to move. Van Keep stepped forward slowly, his cold gaze locked onto it. The system announced that the awakened talent, Angel of Vengeful Spirit Resentment, had now completely taken over his mind. The brilliant golden hue on his body vanished, replaced by a dark blue-black that radiated a terrifying, majestic aura. Van Keep walked forward, each step seeming to compress the space around him, carrying a soul-shaking power ready to crush anything in his path. Phuong Van Keep raised his pitch-black sword, pointing it straight at the one-eyed demon beast's face, coldly ordering, "I'll give you one chance. Call all your comrades out here." The demon beast, realizing it was no longer the top predator, trembled and bowed, then let out a deafening roar as a summons. Its scream echoed, bringing countless winged demon beasts flying in a dark swarm that blocked out the sky. Seeing the horde of demons surrounding him, Van Keep slightly curled his lips, his eyes showing disappointment. "Is this all the demons you can call?" Without hesitation, he leapt into the air, swinging his sword in sharp, flashing strikes. The winged demon beasts, unable to react in time, were defeated one by him, flesh and blood falling like rain. Seeing the one-eyed demon beast turn to flee, Van Keep rushed forward like an arrow, moving so fast the air whistled. The beast panicked, its legs frozen as if iced over, unable to move. He raised his sword high and roared, "You think I'll let you go?" The sword's blade pierced straight through its head, fresh blood splattering and staining the space red. At that moment, a swarm of queen demon beasts rushed in, their buzzing tearing through the air. Van Keep wiped the blood splattered on his face, a satisfied smile curling his lips. "A swarm of queens, huh? Finally something worth watching. It's the first time I've seen so many. But no matter what kind of demon you are from now on, anyone who intends to harm me must die." Then Phuong Van Keep snapped his fingers. A brilliant light exploded in the sky, tearing the queen demon beasts into fragments. He looked up at the light eyes, briefly surprised. "Isn't that supposed to be blue? Looks like full awakening still requires a process." He raised his hand high and loudly called back. The light immediately vanished, leaving the space silent. Around him, demon beast corpses piled up in a mess, blood and flesh splattered all over the ground. Van Keep spoke with cold eyes. "Are there still many remnants left behind?" He looked at the sparkling core crystals, the thing all awakened people crave, scattered everywhere. Picking up a core crystal, he shouted, "Absorb!" But the system responded in a cold voice, "Cannot absorb." Van Keep stood stunned in disbelief. The spirit armor on his body gradually faded, leaving him deep in thought. The spiritual energy in the core crystals is the main source of power for the awakened. Absorbing and selling core crystals is the greatest motivation for entering the dungeon. Could it be that even though I've become awakened, I still can't absorb the power of the core crystals? He tried again, focusing his energy on the core crystal, absorb it. But his body still did not respond. Instead, dark energy from the demon beast corpses around him started flying and entering Van Keep's body. Amazed, he murmured, "I feel something entering my body, but it definitely isn't a core crystal. Could it be the death energy from the demon beast corpses?" From the corpses, countless streams of death energy surged, merging into him. Suddenly he realized, if what I can transform is the death energy from demon beast corpses, then I don't need core crystals anymore. At that moment, a wolf demon beast stealthily approached from behind. Without turning his head, Van Keep swung his cold steel sword, slicing the beast's body in half in an instant. Fresh blood splattered. He smirked confidently. "Just killing monsters alone can keep making me stronger." Realizing this truth, he immediately turned and charged into the new battle with unstoppable momentum. With his current strength, Phuong Van Keep believed that exacting revenge was just like lifting the final hand. He returned to the starting point of the dungeon. His spirit wings gently retracted. Upon landing, he scanned the area and said in a low, surprised voice, "Where's the exit?" Seeing the broken key lying alone, he suddenly realized a bitter truth. He clenched his teeth, eyes burning with fury. Could it be he wants to trap me here forever? "I won't let you succeed, you bastard." Van Keep roared, his hand crushing and twisting the key. He turned away silently, determined, "Before finding a way out, I will keep getting stronger." In the first year imprisoned in the dungeon, he exterminated 175,565 demon beasts. Now, when facing demon beasts, Phuong Van Keep rarely needs his spirit armor anymore. He stomped on the hard shell of a demon beast and then tore its body in half with his bare hands. Fresh blood splattered. He raised a piece of meat to his mouth and devoured it to survive the day. As time passed in the dungeon, demon beast meat became his only source of sustenance. A year passed in a flash. The loneliness in this dark space gave him plenty of time to reflect. In his memories, an important event suddenly resurfaced. 1 year ago, when still in the normal world, Van Keep once gently held Tucandu in his arms and asked, "What are you reading?" She held a book titled Illustrated Demon Beasts, pointing to a strange creature to explain. He looked and said, "This one is very famous among the awakened people. I heard that capturing one can directly buy a whole house in the third ring." She pointed to a demon beast nicknamed the Keymaster and continued, "It lives in the endless sea, wandering between reality and illusion. When the world inside the door restarts, a key that was created will appear." Van Keep then asked in confusion, "What does it mean that the world inside the door restarts?" Tucandu smiled with a clear voice and replied, "When all the demon beasts in the dungeon are killed, the world will restart, the memories will close, and Phuong Van Keep will return to reality." That accidental conversation from years ago suddenly sparked a new hope in him. He muttered, eyes burning with determination. If Kandu said that wiping out all the demon beasts here was the only way for him to escape. In the following year, he defeated 170 demon beasts. After the third year, the number skyrocketed to 158872. Lying among piles of demon beast corpses, Van Keep sighed deeply, his voice thoughtful. "Why does it feel like I'll never kill all the monsters here?" As if realizing something, he stood up, left the battlefield, and headed toward a small river. The rushing water slammed against the rocks, creating a roaring sound. From afar, hundreds of glowing red eyes flashed in the darkness. Sensing the fresh blood scent from him, Van Keep stared intently into the pitch-black water. He silently thought that the endless demon beasts probably originated from this sea. Suddenly, a scene made him gape in amazement. In front of him was an ugly, eyeless demon beast bearing sharp teeth and howling deafeningly in the damp air. At a glance, Van Keep recognized its rank. He muttered, eyes cold and sharp. "The demon beast's ranks have been getting higher every year. This time, an S-rank demon beast has appeared." Without hesitation, he donned the Soul Reaper armor. Gripping his blade tightly, he charged straight at the beast. But before he could touch it, it swung its limb and sent him flying backward. He crashed into the ground, rocks cracking loudly, and the earth shook violently. Phuong Van Keep muttered warily, "If he's not careful, he'll die." He used his incredible speed and dashed away. In a flash, he appeared in front of the S-rank demon beast. He swung his sword and slashed sharply. Fresh blood splattered, but he fell heavily to the ground, gasping for breath. The demon beast had just bitten into his side. Blood gushed out. The serious wound made his body tremble uncontrollably. Seeing the scene before him, helplessness surged through his mind, hesitating briefly, wondering if it would be better to just die. As soon as he defeated the S-rank demon beast, other beasts smelled the blood and rushed over. Even in a dead end, the fire of hatred inside him refused to let him surrender. The image of that hateful face seemed etched deeply into his mind. At the same time, the death aura from the S-rank demon beast was absorbed by his body. A dark black energy surged, quickly healing the wound on his side. Besides hatred, the biggest reason he held on was his promise to Kandu. He gritted his teeth, telling himself he could not forget Kandu. He must kill all the monsters and capture the Keymaster to escape the dungeon. After finishing his words, Van Keep tightened his grip on his greatsword and leapt into the air. The demon beasts looked up at his eyes, burning with determination. "I have to get out." The sword swings flew demon beast, blood splattered, staining the air red. In a blink, time passed to the 20th year inside the dungeon. In a vast grassy field, a treasure tree glowed with sparkling purple light standing out in the deadly space. Phuong Van Keep stood silently on a branch of the treasure tree, his eyes coldly observing. This year, he hasn't killed a single demon beast because the entire dungeon now only has one cameraman left. The beasts were attracted by the purple light of the treasure tree, and this was the perfect opportunity to ambush. Seeing the chance, Van Keep gripped his blade tightly and struck down like a lightning bolt. The blade sliced straight into the cameraman's head. The deep cut pierced through the flesh, revealing the white bone. But immediately the wound closed up perfectly as if it had never been injured. He roared angrily, turning around. The giant claws raised high, ready to stomp straight down on Van Keep. He swiftly jumped back, narrowly avoiding the deadly strike. But inside, he couldn't help feeling discouraged. A whole year without killing it, it's too difficult to deal with. A beast, like a sudden rage, lets out a piercing roar. A supersonic wave bursts out, causing the ground ahead to sweat. Fortunately, after a year of confrontation, Van Keep has become familiar with this move. He timely dodged aside. The beast did not stop. Above its head, blazing red magic rings appeared, covering the sky. The magic rings simultaneously shot out sharp streaks of light straight at him. Van Keep gritted his teeth and growled fiercely. That move again. He blamed his own uselessness. A whole year has passed, and yet he's still chased by this move. He accelerated, weaving through the air, but the streaks of light stayed right behind him. Just 1 second slower, and he could have lost his life. The distance kept closing. Van Keep spun around, summoning a black energy circle that sucked all the streaks of light inside. It seemed to laugh weirdly with satisfaction, hee, waiting for you to turn and defend. It seemed to have predicted all his moves. Immediately, new magic rings appeared beneath Van Keep's feet. Boom! The ground exploded as if everything was within the beast's prediction. Van Keep had no time to prepare, choosing to counter the beast's attacks. The streaks of light tore his cloak into shreds. Still, he gritted his teeth and struggled to withstand the fierce assault. Seeing him still standing firm, the beast screeched excitedly. You are a worthy opponent. It attacked relentlessly, forcing Van Keep to stagger back. His body battered and bruised. Thoughts raced through his mind. The speed and power of the beast's magic were nearly incomprehensible. This must be the only Super S-grade magic beast I've ever faced. A claw swipe tore across his face. He held his face as blood flowed profusely, dripping everywhere. What the beast stood tall and spoke arrogantly. Become my slave and I might spare your life. So what do you say, agree? But this was not a request. It was a blunt threat. Countless blazing red magic rings appeared in the sky, ready to pour down, just waiting for a refusal. Despite the pain, Van Keep sneered with contempt. As expected of a high-level magic beast, it knows how to interrogate humans. But am I still considered human now? After speaking, the claw wound on his face, exposing raw red flesh, gradually closed up perfectly as if never injured. Annoyed by his attitude, the beast roared and charged forward in rage. About to die, but still daring to be insolent with me like that. It continuously cast magic down at Van Keep. But strangely, the attacks only passed through his body without causing any harm. The black energy around him surged like an invisible shield, making Van Keep stand tall and speak loudly. Just now, when close to death, the black energy inside me was activated. For a short time, all attacks were ineffective against me, and it can cause damage that magic beasts cannot heal. Only then did the beast realize its claws were bleeding profusely, the wounds unable to heal. The black energy around Van Keep exploded violently. His eyes burned with anger. You shouldn't have given me a chance to breathe just now, so you might as well die. The soul chain on his body vibrated, emitting a deadly aura. He swung his sword in a sharp slash, cutting the beast in half. The terrifying power from the slash cracked the mountain behind them, causing rocks and earth to collapse. 6 headless beast bodies fell, blood pooling, unable to recover life, slowly draining away. Van Keep coldly observed, realizing it was starting to reboot. Then from the sky, a brilliant beam of light shone down, illuminating the entire space. He focused intently, not taking his eyes off. Within the light, the shadow of a ghostly beast appeared, shaped like a child. Van Keep immediately recognized it was Z Fitch. He lunged forward, the force causing the ground beneath his feet to crumble. Behind him, a pair of mysterious dark blue wings sprouted and flapped strongly, propelling him swiftly toward the holder of the 6th key suffix. Shaped like a human child, but with a round, lock-shaped head, its whole body was translucent blue, like shimmering jelly under the light. Van Keep reached out to place his hand on its body. In an instant, his hand sank deep into that strange form. He pressed in with his other hand, more determined. Suffix seemed to sense the intrusion and cried out sharply, "E-A-A!" Phuong Van Keep roared angrily. Don't move! Give me the key now! Suddenly, Zaphic's body transformed strangely. He was stunned, unable to understand what was happening as its form stretched and twisted like a puzzle. After a while of writhing and bending, it returned to the shape of the key holder. Van Keep easily reached in and pulled out the sparkling replica key. Overcome with emotion, tears streamed down his face. Ha, finally got it. The sky glowed red like the yolk of an egg. Suddenly, a blinding light shone from above, striking the mountain peak, shattering it, and causing the earth and rocks to collapse into a huge pit. As the dust settled, Phuong Van Keep appeared standing tall in the middle of the deep pit. He looked around suspiciously, wondering if he had truly returned to the real world. Why was there no one around? Could he still be inside the replica dungeon? He jumped out of the pit, scanning the scene before him, but all he saw were desolate mountains with no signs of life. Suddenly, a giant wild boar with drooling jaws charged straight at him. Van Keep exclaimed in surprise, "A wild beast!" The beast struck hard, forcing him to raise his arm to block a sharp cut across his arm, blood flowing dark red. Gritting his teeth angrily, Van Keep shouted, "Damn it, didn't I kill all the monsters in the entire dungeon already?" He swung his fist powerfully, sending the wild boar flying hundreds of meters away. But it only feinted. The blow wasn't enough to finish it off. Phuong Van Keep hurried over his eyes, shining with joy as he recognized his prey. He muttered with a hint of self-mockery, "Turns out it's just a wild boar. My current strength can only knock out a wild boar." It seemed that to resist the collapse of this world, all the death energy he had accumulated was now depleted. Now he was just a low-level awakened ordinary person. Crossing through dense forest, Phuong Van Keep finally discovered a simple wooden cabin hidden among the trees. He frowned, thinking to himself, a cabin in the forest, probably a hunter's resting place. He checked to see if there was anything edible, gently pushed the door open and called out, "Is anyone here?" A voice responded, and he stepped inside the house, which was silent as a grave. A figure appeared, but before him lay a dry human skeleton, long dead, still stained with dried blood scattered across the floor. But Phuong Van Keep paid no mind to the gruesome sight. His eyes were immediately drawn to a set of clothes carelessly thrown on the bed. He picked them up, running his fingers over the fabric, unable to hide his surprise. Hunter's house. And yet these are fashionable clothes. He found an old map in the pocket, noting that the hunter hadn't returned for 20 years. This map might be useful. He took a blue spirit stone from his pocket and placed it on a wooden box by the door as a trade for the clothes. Using the map, he quickly found the path leading to the bustling city center. However, his destination all along was just a nearby hospital to finally meet Kandu, he thought eagerly. At that moment, a young man suddenly held out a flyer in front of him, excitedly saying, "Hello, please support Hong Kong Bao." But Phuong Van Keep grabbed the flyer, his eyes scanning the words. Though 20 years had passed, the fire of hatred in his heart still burned fiercely, never fading. With just a glance, he immediately recognized the face printed on the paper, none other than Tuong Ton. Suddenly, a harsh sound rang out, startling him as he turned his head. A moment that stirs the heart has arrived from the massive building ahead. The loud voice blaring through the loudspeakers and the huge portrait of Tuong Ton keep being broadcast repeatedly. Obviously, after 25, he rose to become a powerful and renowned activist. The brilliant large screen replayed Tuong Ton's glorious achievements, as if to engrave in the people's minds that he is the most beloved awakened one. At 38, Tuong Ton single-handedly defeated an S-rank demon beast and led Team 5 to obtain 50 keys within 15. He even generously donated 10 keys back to a responsible social guild like Hong Kong Bao. "What are you waiting for?" Those words made Phuong Van Keep grit his teeth fiercely, his anger flaring intensely. His hands clenched tightly, crushing the flyer printed with Tuong Ton's face, wishing he could rush forward and finish him off immediately. The screen continued broadcasting non-stop. If there was one flaw of Hong Kong Bao, it was that they only accepted high-level awakened people. Phuong Van Keep turned decisively and threw the crumpled paper into the nearby trash can. His gaze was as cold as ice. Just a few minutes later, he found the way to the hospital. Looking at the familiar scene before him, he sighed quietly, his heart heavy. The hospital was just as before. Along the hallway, his steps suddenly stopped in front of an elderly woman, clutching another person's hand tightly, forcing him to pause. The elderly woman shouted hoarsely in pain, kneeling and begging the pastor, "Please save my son. I have been working for free in the hospital for so long." But the pastor only responded coldly to her desperate plea, "The money you earned is not enough to cover your son's medical fees. To have surgery, you need at least a B-rank manicure." Without hesitation, he brushed off her clinging hand roughly and snapped, "I'm busy, move aside." The frail woman, drained of strength, was pushed and fell to the floor. But fortunately, Phuong Van Keep's strong body caught her in time. He calmly asked in a warm, deep voice, "Are you okay?" The woman looked up, eyes briefly confused. But as soon as she saw his face clearly, she burst out joyfully, "Ah, Van Keep, isn't this Van Keep?" Looking closer, Phuong Van Keep recognized her as Nurse Trung, who once cared for Kandu. He hurriedly asked with a slight tremble, "Which room is Kandu in now? Take me to see her." Hearing this, Nurse Trung's eyes welled up, her voice choked as if about to cry. "Why did you come so late?" "Boo-hoo, Candu couldn't wait for you to come back. Boo-hoo." Those words felt like sharp knives cutting into Fung Von Kep's heart, lifting him to a heaven of hope, then immediately dropping him into a pit of despair. He couldn't believe his powerless legs collapsed to the floor, his eyes empty. The sky outside was still bluebirds chirping and flying, but to him the whole world had turned gray. Despite her grief, Nurse Trung gently helped him up and led him to a quiet cemetery. She slowly recounted in a low, sad voice. "About 25 years ago, it seems to be the year you entered the Kandu dungeon. One moment she was healthy, suddenly she became unwell. 2 intermediate priests took turns blessing her but still couldn't save her. I bought this grave for her." Nurse Trung wiped away the tears still on her cheek, her voice trembling as she told the heartbreaking story. Hearing her words, Fung Van Keep felt his heart being squeezed tightly. He realized that his departure years ago was partly the reason Kandu's condition worsened. Tears silently rolled down his cheeks as he choked up and said to her, "Nurse Trung, thank you. Please accept this as Kandu's funeral fee." As soon as he finished speaking, he took out a blazing red mana core from his pocket. Nurse Trung panicked, waving her hand frantically. "An S-rank mana core, I can't accept this." "It's too precious, you can't give it to me." But Fung Van Keep firmly pressed the mana core into her hand, his eyes resolute, and continued in a deep but sure voice. "I just overheard your conversation with the pastor. Saving your son is more important. You go ahead, I'll stay with Kandu a little longer." Hearing his earnest request, Nurse Trung, worried about his mood, still nodded and hurriedly left. Fung Van Keep rummaged into his pocket and pulled out a handful of sparkling mana cores. He burst into tears, his voice breaking. "Kandu, look, all of these are S-rank mana cores that I carefully selected. I've planned so that after curing you, I can still keep the 5 best to make you a necklace." He raised the soul core clenched in his hand towards the grave, his hands trembling so much that a few pieces rolled onto the ground. Fung Van Keep bowed, his head tears dripping onto the cold earth. He screamed in pain, his voice breaking from despair. "Nothing means anything anymore, Kandu. I'm sorry." In his utter agony, he was unaware of the dense black death aura surging rapidly to envelop his body. But Fung Van Keep remained deeply lost in heart-wrenching pain, his hands clutching the cold grave tightly. His voice choked and breaking through sobs. "I can't be by your side until the very end. Boo-hoo-hoo!" Just then, a promotional hot air balloon floated across the cemetery, shattering the silence. His tears continued to fall, relentlessly soaking the ground. Suddenly, the loudspeaker on the balloon blared loudly. "Congratulations to the strongest guild in the city, Bati Hon Kung Bao, for obtaining the 51st key. Log into the official website and enter Tong Hon Van Tui to share a 1 billion cash red envelope." But that noisy announcement clashed harshly with the solemn atmosphere of the cemetery. Fung Van Keep, burning with anger, suddenly raised his head, his cold gaze glancing at the hot air balloon. It repeatedly broadcast the pre-recorded message, "Log in to the official website and enter Tong Hon Van Tu." His body became like the giant magnet, drawing in all the death aura swirling around. He could no longer contain the rising fury. He roared, "Tung Ton die for me!" He swung his arm, releasing a sharp force that sliced the Hon Kung Bao hot air balloon in half. It exploded into fragments, scattering across the sky. Not far away, Tung Ton was sipping wine, his gaze vacant. His subordinates panicked and murmured, "Why did the guild leader Tung Ton's ship explode? Go check it out quickly." He just glanced at the chaotic scene, a mocking smile curling his lips as he coldly said, "What a disappointment." At the cemetery, Fung Van Keep suddenly realized a miracle thanks to the death aura accumulated here for hundreds of years. He had restored nearly half of his strength in an instant. His body was full of energy. It was late at night and the streetlights shone brightly and bustling. As he stepped to the entrance of the Awakener Communication Center, an automated announcement sounded. "ID 14U89, welcome to the Awakener Communication Center." Looking at the lively scene inside, he couldn't help but mumble, "It's still as lively as ever here." The people gathered here were all fake Awakeners who didn't want to be bound by guilds or outsourced logistics staff like him. 20 years ago, after all that time, his mood was completely different now. "Tung Ton surely thought I've been dead for a long time. The safest way is to act humbly, at least until I have a sure chance for revenge." Inside the center, the atmosphere was like a black market where those outside guild control gathered. They traded all kinds of items from weapons to soul cores. A small shop owner was bargaining hard, irritating the seller. "If you want to buy, buy quickly. I'm about to enter a dungeon. Don't waste my time." The owner inspected the little soul beast, criticizing quietly. "A small soul beast like this doesn't even have a soul core, not worth your money. Sell it cheaper." Seeing the seller was firm, the owner reluctantly pleaded more. "At least give me 2 more soul cores." A deep but firm voice interrupted the argument. "Wait, put out your hand, and take the soul beast." His eyes glanced over it silently, recalling he had faced countless monsters on land and in water in previous dungeons. The soul cores of this species are not inside the body like other soul beasts. He calmly explained with experienced tone. To control the tentacles, the nerve cores usually grow at the front of the claws. Then he skillfully broke the sharp black claws of the soul beast. From inside, sparkling yellow soul cores fell out. The boss took them, unable to hide his joy, laughing loudly. "Ha ha! So these 6 claws have 6 grade C nerve cores. I'm getting a bargain." He excitedly swallowed 1 soul core. "Here's your hard-earned fee." But Fung Van Keep, who had been through many battles, just shook his head with his 10 years of experience. "You're not lacking grade S soul cores to care about this small one," he replied calmly. "No, I have something else I need help with. Just now I heard you say you want to enter a dungeon. Can you take me with you?" The boss frowned in surprise. "Normally people come here for money, but now I'm giving you money and you don't want it. So what do you want to do in the dungeon?" Fung Van Keep quickly made up a reason with a calm appearance. I'm writing an article about different kinds of magical beasts. I want to follow you to learn more about them." In his mind, he thought, "You awakened at this level. If you tell me to absorb the death energy, I doubt you'd even understand." The boss curiously asked further, "Kid, what talent did you awaken?" Fung Van Keep answered evenly, "I don't have any talent, but I can do logistics work." At that moment, a long-haired guy sitting nearby laughed contemptuously with a sarcastic tone. "Ha ha! A useless person without talent should find a job in the guild and work part-time. At least you won't die." The boss quickly spoke in a conciliatory tone to ease the tense atmosphere. "Brother, don't blame him, he's just being harsh. But squads of 3 or 4 like us really don't dare to take in ordinary people. Having even 1 ordinary person in a small team seriously reduces our overall combat effectiveness. Not only you, but the whole team's lives would be at risk." But Fung Van Keep seemed to ignore that explanation. His absent-minded gaze casually stopped on a Hawk's bandaged arm. He asked, curiously, "What happened to your arm?" The boss sneered and replied, "Ha ha! He took part in the Soul Clan Guild exam, got injured, and was mocked for overestimating himself." Ahoak's face turned bright red as he angrily retorted, "You're too mouthy." But Fung Van Keep didn't bother responding, his sharp eyes fixed tightly on the wound. He stepped forward, gently peeled back the bandage to examine carefully, then spoke in a low voice, diagnosing, "This isn't just a wound, the blood poison toxin is still attached. This extremely potent poison requires a cleric with at least half a level B core to treat." Ahoak smirked with disdain, challenging, "Smooth talker like you can cure it." But that mockery only made Fung Van Keep smirk with a subtle, meaningful smile. He turned to the small merchant boss calmly. "Give me a magical beast claw that you don't need." He handed the claw to Ahoak with a brief instruction, "Chew and swallow it." Ahoak didn't hesitate and followed the order immediately. His expression still held some doubt. In his mind, Fung Van Keep calculated, getting him to eat the claw is just an excuse. In fact, I already used death energy to break down the poison on his arm. While no one was paying attention, he skillfully used death energy to silently heal his wound. Ahoak was unaware. He removed the bandage and stared in amazement at his arm, which was healed, as if never injured. He exclaimed excitedly, "Hey, it's healed! How is this possible?" The boss couldn't hide his joy, slapped his shoulder hard, and laughed loudly. "Ha ha! Who wouldn't want a magical zoologist like you? Welcome to the team!" He threw his arms around both of them, pulling them along the busy street, still babbling nonstop. "To ensure safety, it's best we find another person with talent before entering the dungeon." Suddenly, a strong, fishy smell hit the nose, causing the archer in the team to turn his head. He stared intently toward the source of the unpleasant smell, his eyes suddenly growing cold. "Is that your outfit? Notice anything unusual?" The blond man quickly pulled out his phone and hurriedly connected a call to the big boss. As soon as the call connected, a loud voice boomed, "What is it? Have you found my son?" The archer stammered, sweat pouring down. Not yet, but I discovered important intelligence. I found someone wearing your son's clothes at the exchange center." "Yes, I'm sure." "Yes, the clothes smell like your son. Except compared to what you call your son's scent, it's more like the smell of his corpse." The man on the other end roared a decisive order. "Keep a close watch on him. If there's any news, report back to me as soon as possible." The archer replied nervously, "Yes." He hurried to Fung Van Keep's group and asked urgently, "Wait, is your team missing anyone?" The boss replied boisterously, "Yes, we are." "What talent do you have?" The archer answered confidently, "A super strong 5-cents talent profession is archer." The boss laughed delightedly, clapping loudly. "Ha ha, that's perfect." Then he pressed a button on his belt and pulled out a huge sword, shouting with vigor, "All right, it's not easy to gather 5 people. Let's start the team." Fung Van Keep was briefly surprised, thinking, 5 people plus me would only be 4, right? But shortly after, this boss led the whole group to the edge of the forest. There, a girl was already waiting, a slender figure hidden under a hooded cloak. The boss shouted loudly, "Have you been waiting long?" "She always arrives first every time. Isn't being alone boring, ha ha." The girl responded with a calm yet mysterious tone, "I just don't like crowded places." But Fung Van Keep observed her and asked, "Is this the 5th member?" "Ma Tu Kam." The hooded girl, upon seeing him, was momentarily startled and quickly stepped back. She avoided his gaze, but that small movement did not escape Fung Van Keep's sharp eyes. With just one glance, he realized she was not human, but a nearly perfect disguised beast demon without any slip-ups. Even the archer with his super-strong 5th sense talent had detected nothing unusual. He thought to himself, eyes passing over the carefree archer full of suspicion, "Based on experience killing 40,000 monsters, she can't fool me." But the strange thing is this beast demon carries no killing intent. This is the first time I've encountered something like this. The leader raised the key high, his voice booming. "Is everyone ready? We're about to start." Fung Van Keep's gaze stopped on the key in the leader's hand. A strange feeling stirred inside him. Fung Van Keep quietly observed the very important key in the leader's hand, thinking, "Looks like this dungeon doesn't have any villain characters." After signaling the team to prepare, the leader inserted the key into the air. Click. A dungeon door appeared, swinging wide open in front of the group. The leader excitedly shouted, "Let's go, let's go, go!" Following that, Fung Van Keep glanced at Ma Tilkum, suspicion rising. "Do you really want to enter the dungeon with a disguised beast demon?" At seeing his hesitation, a Hoak stepped forward, voice advising with some concern, "Considering you saved my life, I advise you not to go in. You're courting death with a beast demon." Fung Van Keep immediately narrowed his eyes, voice icy cold, "Shut your mouth!" His sharp gaze startled Ahoak, who broke out in a cold sweat, face paling. He stepped back, entering the dungeon, muttering complaints. "Yeah, no idea what's good or bad." Fung Van Keep silently resolved, eyes firm. "At this point, whether I surrender or resist, it's still a fight. Retreating or charging forward is the same fight, no more hesitation." He decisively stepped through the door. Once the group had entered, the dungeon door slowly narrowed, then shut tightly. The forest outside returned to a quiet state as if nothing had happened. Inside the dungeon, Fung Van Keep jumped out from another dimension, his eyes scanning the whole team. The leader spoke to check, "Is everyone here?" Let me mention a few important points. Although this dungeon isn't extremely dangerous, the high temperature and CO2 can still be fatal. This time, we mainly face magma dogs, lava stars, and river jaws. Their materials are very valuable. Then the leader began dividing the group, voice decisive. "I'm good at hand-to-hand combat, so one team with Mage A Hoak. Ma Tu Kam with control skills goes with the archer as another team." The leader assigned decisively, Fung Van Keep was in charge of collecting essence seeds and teeth. No sooner had he finished speaking than the beast demons appeared one after another, growling and charging. A hawk smirked arrogantly and laughed loudly. "Ha ha, the beast demons are here, time to die!" The leader immediately ordered, voice loud and decisive, "Limit 10 hours, depart immediately." The team set about their mission. Only Fung Van Keep stood still, calmly observing the growing number of monsters. One of them opened its mouth, hissing threateningly, revealing a terrifying, glowing red eye. The leader jumped forward excitedly, shouting, "Ahoak, coordinate with me!" He swung his sword, the sharp steel blade cutting the monster in two. On the other side, Ahoak raised his weapon to summon a hailstorm. The magma rocks from the beast demons gradually turned into countless sharp ice shards sparkling in the dim light. He proudly ordered, "Fung Van Keep, go collect these." Hearing this, Fung Van Keep quietly moved forward to gather essence seeds and teeth from the fallen monsters. His movements were decisive without any fear. He even muttered as if comforting himself, "Just endure a bit." Suddenly, he sensed a sharp aura from behind. A group of monsters was lurking, ready to attack. Fung Van Keep turned around, his eyes coldly fixed on them. Two frightened monsters immediately turned and fled, unwilling to face him. Meanwhile, the archer and Ma Tu Kam were also focused on their tasks. The archer thought to himself, full of doubt, "I clearly came to follow that guy, so why am I teamed up with this hooded woman?" While lost in thought, they were suddenly surrounded by beast demons. The archer was caught off guard, sweat pouring down, muttering, "Damn it, just got distracted and already surrounded." In this situation, Ma Tu Kam calmly but confidently reassured him, "Don't panic, wait for my signal." As she finished speaking, two horns hidden under her hood emitted a powerful sonic wave that spread throughout the area. The demon in front, just as it opened its mouth wide, revealing its blazing red eye glaring at her, was immediately suppressed by the sonic wave. The eye slowly closed and its body froze as if hypnotized. Ma Tu Kam immediately gave the order, her tone sharp. "Attack now." The archer quickly glanced around his sharp eyes, assessing the situation, muttering calculations. 11 on the right, 6 on the left, turn right 91 degrees, then left 15 degrees, 9 degrees, then 42 degrees. He then spun, pulled back his bowstring, quietly reciting complex coordinates, y equals sine bx. The arrow shot forward, striking straight into the pupil of the first demon. But he didn't stop. The arrow continued piercing through 3 or 4 others, sweeping nearly half the demon horde in a single shot. The archer caught the returning arrow, smirked, and said briefly, "Done." The archer and Ma Tu Kam coordinated perfectly like a flawless combat duo. On the other side, a hawk and Laodai seemed to be competing, their battle fervor boiling. A hawk shouted while attacking near me, 17 so far, how about you? Laodai punched repeatedly, laughing loudly in response, 2021. Blood and demon carcasses flew everywhere, creating a chaotic scene. Fung Van Keep stood at the battle's edge without speaking, thinking sarcastically, "Hey, stop slaughtering so many low-level ones. At this rate, in 10 hours I might recover part of my strength, not bad." Just then, a Hoke appeared in front of Fung Van Keep, his tone mocking. "Ha ha, scared silly by some blood, huh?" He was enjoying his moment of victory, swinging his weapon to unleash the frozen steel gun move, a sharp shard of ice shooting out and piercing the demon's head. The monster trembled in pain, its mouth wide open, revealing a glaring eye that looked at Ahoak with hatred. Suddenly, Fung Van Keep noticed something unusual and shouted a warning. "Get back! Stop using magic on it! Let the big guy handle it with a blade!" But Ahoak arrogantly ignored him, his voice cold. "Don't think saving me means you can boss me around. I'll handle it myself." With that, he unleashed the Steel Roar Icebone move. A cold layer of ice quickly enveloped the demon, spreading towards its blazing red eye. Fung Van Keep frowned, his face serious as he muttered, "Fool, if you don't kill it, it will activate its magical mutation ability, only making it stronger." Just then, crack, the ice suddenly shattered. The demon roared, releasing a terrifying power, its body transforming, growing larger, looming like a mountain in front of a Hoke. He froze, muttering, "What the hell is this? Never seen anything like it." Still undeterred, Ahoak shouted, "Forget it, kill it first, talk later." He launched the ice-piercing Great Spear move. The icy spear charged at the monster, but the moment it touched its body, the spear shattered like a fragile egg against stone. The demon's glaring eye emitted a fierce aura. In front of a Hoak, a stream of molten lava erupted, threatening to engulf him. Fung Van Keep stood nearby, frowning in annoyance, thinking, "Do I really have to step in?" It looked like a hawk was about to be burned to ashes, but unexpectedly, he leapt high, hovering in midair. Laodai watched in surprise. When did this guy awaken flight magic? A hawk landed safely wounded but pale and drenched in sweat. Clearly, even he didn't expect to narrowly escape death like that. After regaining composure, a Hoak turned to Laodai, voice trembling. "Maybe we should retreat. This is beyond our ability." Laodai glared, growling back. "You want me to walk away with nothing to show for it? Who's going to pay you then?" With that, he shouted decisively, "Matukam, go control it." Matukam immediately replied, "On my way." But just as she was about to act, her face suddenly turned pale, panic in her voice. "No, it's way stronger than me, completely uncontrollable." Hearing this, Ahoak panicked, more clinging to Laodai, pleading, "Let's just go outside, I won't take any pay at worst." But before finishing, his body suddenly emitted a strange smoke, and instantly he was pulled by an invisible force rushing straight toward the demon. Laodai stood stunned, muttering, "This guy's crazy, going there to die." At this moment, a hawk was being dragged toward the demon's huge mouth, his face twisted in fear, shouting loudly, "Hey, hey, hey, don't come here!" It turns out that smoke was coming from Fung Van Kiep's hand, silently controlling everything around the gaping mouth of the demon, the hot smoke rising as if containing a boiling sea of lava inside. Sure enough, the monster spat out a stream of blazing red lava towards Ahoak, who hurriedly dodged to the side while shouting, "Ah, I'm about to die!" After the demon's rage, it suddenly fell asleep, its body freezing in place. Fung Van Keep thought to himself, "Its skill has a weak point in time, here's the chance." He skillfully flicked two fingers, and immediately Ahoak's body moved according to his will. His left hand gripped the weapon tightly, and in a flash it transformed into a sharp sword, flashing a cold steel gleam. A hawk was stunned, mouth agape, exclaiming, "Damn, where did this great sword come from?" The sword seemed to have a will of its own, driving his body straight toward the demon. Though Ahoak kept shouting, "No, no, he can't!" the sword still swung, cutting the monster cleanly in two. He could only scream in panic, utterly unable to control his body. The powerful sword stroke extended with terrifying force, not only slicing the demon in half, but also cutting through a huge rock behind it. Seeing this, Fung Van Kip clicked his tongue, thinking silently, "It's really hard to control a person using deadly energy. There's no way to adjust the force of the great sword." After completing its task, the great sword reverted to an ordinary sword. A hawk stammered in a trembling voice, "Is this really me?" The boss, witnessing everything, burst out laughing excitedly, clapping his hands. "Ha ha ha, I didn't expect you to hide a move like that. You really scared me just now." Ahoak forced a smile and replied awkwardly, "When facing strong opponents, you have to be strong, ha ha." Fung Van Keep stood nearby with a cold gaze, silently mocking. "This guy really dares to take credit." At that moment, the archer spoke up, turning to ask the boss, "Originally, the mission was 10 watch hours. 3 are done. What's next?" The boss pondered for a moment before replying hesitantly. "Actually, I have a suggestion, not sure if I should say it. The reason I bought this key so cheaply is because many have died in this dungeon. Deep inside the dungeon, there is a cave yet to be explored. Everyone who enters dies. I've gathered my courage to try a few times, but only made it to the entrance. If Ahoak can kill a level B monster in one strike, maybe we should check it out too." Hearing this, the group fell silent, all eyes on Ahoak, waiting for his reaction. Ahoak looked clearly worried, sweat beading on his forehead, stammering, I suddenly... But before he could finish, Fung Van Keep skillfully flicked his fingers to control him. Although unwilling, Ahoak nodded continuously, following his hand movements. Seeing this, the boss excitedly clapped, "If Master Hoak agrees, then let's go." The scene shifted and the group stood before the entrance of a dark cave, the atmosphere filled with fear. The group with Ahoak holding a lantern high carefully examined the inside. The boss, sweat beading, voice trembling slightly, said, "The path here is complex. Everyone stay close to Team 5. After finishing, he turned but saw no sign of Matu come. Panicked, the boss clung to Ahoak, saying urgently, "Never mind, I'll just follow Master Hook closely." Fung Von Keep quietly walked behind his sharp eyes, scanning the surroundings. He silently guessed that monsters in caves like this usually wait for crowds to go deep, then seal the entrance to surround and eliminate the enemies. Surely they are hiding at the fork near the cave's entrance, waiting to ambush. Just then, behind Fung Van Keep, a figure moved stealthily, eyes flashing with calculation. He stared at the hero's back, thinking, so he's separated from the team on his own, looking for a chance to interrogate alone. It turned out to be the archer. He wore a cunning expression, very different from his carefree look before. After wandering around the cave for a while, Fung Van Keep suddenly stopped, eyes brightening as he discovered something. He exclaimed in surprise, "Oh, these creatures look mutated not just once." In front of him, a line of huge demons was glaring at the group, exuding a threatening aura. The archer closely followed behind, involuntarily tightening his grip on the bow, eyes flashing with alertness. Fung Van Keep faced the terrifying scene, sweating buckets, silently cursing. Even a fake B rank awakened here would hardly escape death. After struggling to find a clue, it's all ruined, damn it. Suddenly, a lightning-fast strike flashed too fast for anyone to see clearly. His invisible sword slashed through the horde of demons without hesitation. Fung Van Keep dashed forward effortlessly, finishing them all off. The archer behind stood wide-eyed, frozen like stone. Even the leader couldn't react in time to his attack. In the blink of an eye, a sharp force pierced through his body, leaving a large hole while sweeping away the remaining demons. First, Fung Van Keep stood there, radiating fierce energy, his eyes flashing with excitement. A few more opponents like this, and my death aura will recover like back then. Suddenly, a blazing red light appeared. It was the giant eye of a huge demon in front. He curled his lips with interest. Finally, a worthy opponent. The demon roared, throwing a gigantic fist toward him. Fung Van Keep dodged like a slash while the monster spat out a stream of blazing lava. He concentrated his energy, his hand condensing into a power sphere. In an instant, the sphere expanded monstrously, rushing straight at the lava stream. Coldly, he said, "Such a weak force, you underestimate me." The power sphere completely overwhelmed the hot lava. In a flash, the demon was crushed, its body disintegrating in a thunderous explosion. The shockwave from the blast violently shook the entire cave. On the big boss, a hawk's side, he startled and cursed. Damn it, what was that noise? Fung Van Keep's power sphere shot out of the cave, leaving behind a terrifying aftershock. Suddenly, from the corpses of the demons, a strange aura simultaneously rose and flew toward him, but Fung Van Keep, like a living tornado, slowly absorbed all their life force. His body emitted an increasingly dense death aura. Seeing this, the archer behind widened his eyes and couldn't help but exclaim, "That old perverted beast who eats tigers, I'm no match for him." The big boss who wanted to kill his son was powerless. Suddenly, a strange noise sounded, and Fung Van Keep immediately spun around sharply, yelling, "Who's there?" The archer flinched, swallowing nervously, thinking, "I'm busted." He dashed off, eyes sharply scanning all around. The archer thought he was exposed, heart-pounding, but Fung Van Keep passed right by him and suddenly grabbed a figure hiding underground. He said coldly, "You think I can't detect you hiding underground?" It turned out the one he grabbed by the collar was Ma Tu Kam. He pulled a sword from her body and pressed it to her neck, threatening, "Still want to resist?" His grip was so strong it made Ma Tu Kam cough up blood, her face pale. At that moment, she could no longer hide it. Her body transformed, revealing her true form as a demon beast. Fung Van Keep showed no surprise, just narrowing his eyes and saying coldly, "So you really are a demon beast. Tell me why you followed me. If you lie, I'll kill you immediately." Despite the pain, Ma Tu Kam gritted her teeth and replied, "Remember that day at the cemetery you shouted that Tong Ton was dead and dropped his spaceship? It's no coincidence that I was there that day, and coincidentally I also wanted to kill Tuong Ton." She paused, her sharp eyes glancing at the archer, eavesdropping behind. "Do you need me to explain further?" After hearing Ma Tu Kam's words, Fung Van Keep suddenly returned to human form, his cold gaze sweeping over her. He turned his back, his voice low. "I'll spare your life for now. Let's pretend we never met." With that, he walked straight toward the archer. The archer sensed the danger and quickly slipped away, retreating hastily. Ma Tu Kam also reverted to her original form. Seeing his strange behavior, she couldn't help but ask, "What are you doing?" Fung Van Keep sneered lightly. "I'm just a logistics guy collecting essence cores. What else could I do?" 5 hours later at Lao Dai and a hawk's place. Loud Eye laughed loudly, full of excitement. There was nothing evil or demonic in the cave. They must have all fled, scared off by Master Hoak's overwhelming aura. He turned to Fung Van Keep, curious. Did you encounter anything strange inside the cave? Fung Van Keep responded with a fleeting smile. Ha ha! Nothing at all! The scene shifted. A sparkling gate appeared in the middle of the forest, leading to another dimension. Fung Van Keep's group stepped out from there, their aura still tinged with the scent of battle. Loud Eye excitedly asked, "How much material did you get today? Let's count it out." Fung Van Keep opened his hand, revealing several essence cores. Loud Eye muttered in slight disappointment. "Just this little—" He brought along an ordinary person, and before he could finish, Fung Van Keep casually said, 6 bags, then poured a pile of sparkling essence cores into Loud Eye's hand. The other party stared in surprise. "Where did you get these from?" "That's not all." Suddenly, he continued to pull out countless more essence beads, forming a small mountain in the boss's hand. The boss's eyes lit up brightly, laughing joyfully. "Ha ha, let's go drink my treat." But Fung Van Keep coldly declined. "No need, I'm leaving first." The boss didn't care. Shrugged and said if he's not going, then we will. Fung Van Keep's back, along with Ahwak and Ma Tu Kum, gradually disappeared into the distance, leaving the lone archer behind. He pulled out his phone, voice low. "I can't handle this alone now. Transfer me 3 million. In 1 hour, I'll send someone to kill your son over here." Fung Van Keep fell into thought, murmuring about the deadly aura that couldn't yet be increased. Suddenly, a fist came flying out of nowhere. He dodged swiftly like lightning, narrowly avoiding the deadly strike, but the heavy force made the air tremble. Behind him, a trap was already set with swirling, deadly spirit energy. He easily broke it. He smirked to himself. Just because it's deadly spirit energy, it can withstand me. Just then, Fung Van Keep froze, feeling the energy in his body being drained. It seemed all his strength was being targeted by the enemy. 3 strangers suddenly ambushed from behind. A familiar voice rang out coldly and mockingly. "Heh, your performance in the cave just now really surprised me, so I had to invite a few experts to deal with you. Don't worry, we won't kill you. We'll just break your arms and legs." After finishing, the archer Dung Kung shot an arrow rushing straight at Fung Van Keep. His body shifted briefly, deadly aura flared fiercely. On the enemy side, one man clasped his hands and chanted Umbalasi. The arrow's charm suddenly vanished before him. At Fung Van Keep's feet, a magic circle blazed, surrounded by mysterious characters. The enemy continued chanting, "Jia Chan Abi." Countless sharp arrows rose from the ground, aiming straight at him. The archer fired another arrow, blocking all escape routes. Fung Van Keep just slightly smirked, his right hand flashing decisively, catching the flying arrow, breaking the enemy's attack. The archer smiled slyly, his eyes flashing with malice. His hand pressed a hidden switch. "This is a spotlight specially prepared for you." A blinding light burst, enveloping Fung Van Keep. He frowned and muttered, "Blinded with bindings." When the light faded, a deadly spirit energy arm suddenly grabbed him tightly. The nearby thug was briefly shocked, murmuring, "Pretty impressive, held out so long before getting caught." He quietly approached, whispering into Fung Van Keep's ear, "Hold on to one breath, don't kill him." The other man, with a sinister smile, nodded. "Don't worry." After that, the thug's hand twisted strangely, his fingers writhing like venomous snakes. He charged forward, roaring, "But I can't guarantee if I'll be able to speak or not." Fung Van Keep remained calm, his eyes sharp and cold. He spat a stream of green liquid at the enemy. The thug's hand, covered in the liquid, immediately tore apart into pieces. He fell to the ground, screaming miserably. Fung Van Keep smirked easily, breaking free from the deadly spirit energy's restraint. A black-haired girl stood far away, eyes wide with shock. She tried to calm herself, focusing all her strength to control him, but sweat poured down and her face showed clear panic. Fung Van Keep donned his spirit armor, his aura exploding. He glared and growled at her. "This little bit of deadly spirit energy and you dare to run. Don't even think about playing tricks here." With that, he delivered a powerful kick to the girl's stomach. Hit by the blow, she collapsed, powerless to resist. Among the enemies, only one remained, wildly chanting in a deep voice, "Duan gon tien hua tien trien zhao hua vuta." A glowing arrow appeared from the magic circle beneath him. Fung Van Keep clicked his tongue, murmuring, "Getting tighter again." He charged forward like a fierce tiger, roaring, I'm not in the mood to joke with you anymore. At the same time, he threw a powerful punch that shattered the enemy's jaw, blood spraying everywhere. Fung Van Keep suddenly noticed a sneaky figure behind. He spun around and rushed in front of the archer, quick as a flash, his hand gleaming as he grabbed the bow, bending it with force until it snapped in two with a crack. The archer was stunned, his eyes revealing a mix of horror and regret, muttering about the 400-pound bow. It's completely shattered. Without stopping, Fung Van Keep coldly pinched the opponent's ear, slowly lifting him up, his voice icy. "Who sent you?" In his mind, he thought, if this is Tongton, my identity is exposed. I have to silence these guys. With a strong pull, the archer's ear was nearly torn apart, yet he still sneered mockingly. "Ha ha, do you even know whose clothes you're wearing? You even dare to kill the boss's son and play dumb here." Hearing this, Fung Van Keep suddenly realized the hastily picked-up clothes caused trouble. He put the archer down and decisively ordered, "Take me to see the boss." Cut to a car speeding down the road, Fung Van Keep and the archer sitting silently inside. The archer turned to the female steward, voice anxious. "Although some unexpected things happened, I've brought the person over. That's 3 million. The big boss didn't ask for it back, huh?" Steward Liu frowned, snapping, "The big boss refuses to talk." Until they arrived at the mansion, the archer paled, sweating, mumbling, "Oh, got it." A moment later, the car stopped in front of a magnificent mansion, its gates automatically opening to welcome them in. As soon as the car rolled through the gate, it immediately shut tight. Fung Van Keep and the archer got out and walked to meet the big boss. His face darkened, eyes sharp and cold, as if ready to devour anyone who dared disobey orders. The archer quickly bowed his head, flattering, "Facing a powerful enemy alone, big boss, you truly have courage." The big boss interrupted, "What are you talking about?" Hearing this, the archer immediately fell silent, not daring to say a word. He stared intently at Fung Van Keep, shouting, "Kid you!" The male lead smiled casually and replied, "Hello, big boss." Suddenly, the big boss snorted coldly, asking, "Do you know why I sent a car to pick you up?" "Because I hired 5 mages specializing in suppression and set up a barrier to shield the talents within the mansion. I was afraid you'd observe and dare not enter." Hearing this, Fung Van Keep secretly checked and realized the lethal aura was completely sealed, but such a thin barrier couldn't be that strong. He calmly analyzed his gaze, passing over the chair the big boss was sitting on. Surely an amplifier device, creating the shield to block all talent's activity around him. The archer sneered smugly, "Ha ha, you're dumb." Fung Van Keep clicked his tongue, thinking, "This time I really met a big opponent." The archer proudly recounted Steward Liu on the car, emphasized I was not allowed to speak to hint at me, so I used talent to sense and sent a control strategy pouch to the big boss. At this moment, the big boss stood up from the amplifier chair and slowly took steps toward Fung Van Keep. His face was full of murderous intent, as if he wanted to tear him into 100 pieces. The big boss growled angrily, "So be honest and tell me who sent you to kill my son." Fung Van Keep calmly replied casually, "To be honest, I've never killed anyone. First, let me tell you about this shirt." Before he finished, the archer quickly drew his bow, pointed it straight at him, angrily shouting, "Still talkative, huh? I'll break your leg, and then we'll talk." Interrupted, Fung Van Keep angrily shot him a cold glare, then dodged like lightning and threw a decisive strike that broke the archer's arm. The archer fell down, clutching his arm, groaning pitifully, "Ah, my arm." Gritting his teeth, Fung Van Keep said in a low, furious voice, "Accusing me before clarifying the truth I've held back long enough." He continued to throw a few more blows, silencing the archer from interrupting again. Suddenly, countless red dots aimed straight at him from afar. Fung Van Keep was briefly startled, not yet understanding what was happening. The big boss roared, questioning, "You still haven't answered me. Who gave you the order? Was it a dat from the Black Dragon Society or the Kim family brothers on the battlefield?" But Fung Van Keep, tired of explaining to these stubborn people, looked up at him with sincere eyes. "No, listen to me." Yet the big boss ignored him and kept babbling non-stop. "Or was it the old lady from the Ha Than gang?" Being ignored. Fung Van Keep shouted in frustration, "I already said I just happened to pick it up, didn't I?" The big boss stomped hard on his foot and shouted, "Still making excuses! Still have the nerve to wear my son's clothes!" He turned to the sharpshooters and gave a firm order. Sharpshooters aim where I'm stepping and shoot to pierce other parts of him. This act poured fuel on the fire, making Fung von Keep furious. He recalled 25 years ago, in a similarly humiliating position, he was a weakling enduring Tong Ton's insults. But now he was different. Fung von Keep swung his hand forcefully, pushing off the big boss's foot. The sudden action left the big boss stunned, not yet understanding what was happening. At first, only a few small streams of deadly energy flickered around him, but in the blink of an eye they exploded and engulfed his entire body. The deadly energy surged, following laser beams that infiltrated every hidden sniper, seeping into their bodies and freezing their triggers so they couldn't pull the trigger. The snipers panicked and blankly exclaimed, "Hey, my gun is tangled up." In just a moment, the deadly energy wrapped around each of them, dragged them out of hiding, and slammed them hard onto the ground. Then Fung von Keep stood tall and roared, "That's enough." Looking up at the sky filled with people and weapons dropping everywhere, he coldly asked, "Can you stay calm and listen to me this time?" The scene made the big boss turn pale. Who would have thought the high-powered sniper scope could pierce the barrier, letting him exploit the weakness? Now there were no weapons left. The big boss bowed his head helplessly. "What exactly do you want to say?" Seeing him humbled, Fung von Keep withdrew the deadly energy. The space immediately calmed down. He carefully took off his jacket, folded it neatly, then handed it over, saying, "If this is your son's relic, then I'll return it to its original owner. But this is something I found in a hunter's room in Thuhai." Suddenly, Ahwak popped his head out, surprised, and asked a hunter from Thuhai, "You still remember the wound on my arm, right?" It was caused by a hunter from Thuhai. Seeing Ahwak appear, Fung von Keep frowned suspiciously. "Weren't you out drinking?" Ahwak scratched his head and smiled awkwardly. "Ha, don't say it." With the amount of alcohol the boss poured, 5 minutes was all it took to finish. "I wasn't just sitting around. I took an urgent job to earn some money. Don't read too much into it. I was just responsible for cooling the sniper barrel, no intention of harming you." At that moment, the archer, who had just woken up from a coma, dragged his crippled body forward and interrupted. Actually, the A-level expert who joined the Savage Soul seems to be a hunter from Thuhai as well. Fung Ahwak heard that and angrily snapped, "Yeah, that's right. He's a pervert. I heard he's addicted to cannibalism. He even bit me, which caused the wound on my body." Fung von Keep was stunned and repeated, "Addicted to cannibalism." He slowly recounted the scene inside the small house. There seemed to be a complete human skeleton. At first I thought it was just a discarded specimen or a movie prop. It looks like it might actually be your son. The big boss turned his head and ordered in a low voice, "Old lady, prepare the plane to go to Thuhai." They returned to the forest where Fung von Keep had left the dungeon. The helicopter's roar shattered the silence of the forest. It landed near the small wooden house. The archer approached the skeleton and activated his ultra-powerful 5-sense talent. He frowned, analyzing the scent. It's a bit degraded, and mixed with the stench of poison, but it really resembles the young master. The bite marks on the skeleton exactly matched those on a hawk. Along with the protruding gums, there's no doubt this is the remains of the young master. Hearing the cause of death, the big boss beside him trembled all over. The pain of losing his son was heart-wrenching. Knowing his son had to endure extreme suffering before he died made it even harder to bear. He confirmed it was his son. He rushed forward, hugging the skeleton tightly, sobbing. "Why didn't you listen to your father?" He painfully recalled the day his son ran to him happily, "Dad, look, I've really awakened my powers. I'm not lying to you, right?" The big boss then calmly replied, "What's so great about powers? I don't have powers." But those awakened people still surrounded him, right? "Stay with the company and work. Making money is what matters most." His determined son declared, "If it's about making money, I probably can never surpass you in my lifetime. Becoming an outstanding awakener is the only chance to earn your respect." Just as he finished speaking, his son turned to leave, eyes sparkling with excitement. "I know a very powerful master. Tomorrow I will find him to go into seclusion and train. Next time we meet Dad, you'll definitely be so surprised your jaw will drop." Butler Lou anxiously whispers into the ear of the young master. Is it necessary to have someone accompany him on his first long trip? Although the young master appears tough on the outside, he is full of faith in his son. No need. At his age, I was already struggling in the world for several years. He should experience the outside world. Otherwise, he won't be strong enough to inherit my corporation. The flashback ends. The father is in unbearable pain. His heart swells with self-blame. It's all because the father wasn't good enough. Father will avenge you. Where is that bastard who killed my son? The archer quickly answers. He is currently an officer in the Wild Fury Souls Mountain Sect. The Mountain Sect and the Fire Sect are troops under Tung Ton. All members are awakened individuals ranked B or higher. The young master gently places his son's skeleton on the chair, turning around to give orders. The old woman summons as many people as she can to come with me. Butler Lu wipes away the tears on his cheek, calmly replies, "The young master's death pains me deeply as well. But to face a high-level guild like Wild Fury Soul head-on, our chances of winning are 0. He raises his hand to wipe his foggy glasses from tears. His voice grows even more somber. Recently, Tung Ton has been donating charity everywhere, gaining moral superiority in this challenge. He only causes our corporation to be criticized by society, even though our resources are limited. The battle hasn't even started, and we are already sure to lose." But Butler Lu puts his cleaned glasses back on. His eyes blaze with determination. "If the young master insists on fighting, I will prepare immediately." The young master embraces his son's remains, sobbing uncontrollably. "Our son left first. Give his father some time. I will make the culprit pay with his life." The scene of a father bidding farewell to his young son breaks everyone's heart. They only bow their heads. No words of comfort can soothe the grief. Watching the young master's figure leave, Ahawk speaks with suspicion. Strange, the poison that killed the young master was the Tuyen Jiao poison. The mist couldn't dissipate. It was only grade C level. He thinks, silently recalling the battle when the Tuyen Jiao poison pierced through his ice armor, causing him pain and internal bleeding. He screamed, "I surrender," but that madman didn't stop. He lunged forward, mouth full of blood eyes, crazed like he wanted to devour him alive. Locke panicked and shouted loudly. "Are you deaf?" "I said I surrender." The flashback ends. He mutters in doubt. The gap in strength before and after with this hunter is too great. Fung Van Keep doesn't respond. His cold gaze sweeps to the door. Stopping by the wooden crate nearby, he thinks to himself, indeed, the grade A core of the Tuyen Jiao King has been taken. After collecting for a while, they gather the full set of bones. The archer points and says these are 2 more flowing bones. Butler Lu carefully instructs, put everything into the box. Handle them gently. Before leaving, the young master turns back, his voice somber. "Little brother, we had a bit of a misunderstanding earlier. I hurried to find my son. You understand, right? I'm a man who repays kindness and grudges alike. Whatever you want, just say it." Fung Van Keep immediately replies, "Give me a jacket that can cover my face." Late at night at the mountain sect of the Wild Fury Soul, 2 gatekeepers see Fung Van Keep approaching. Misunderstanding his intention, they shout loudly, "The interview time is over for today. He'll come back tomorrow." He doesn't bother to reply. A surge of deadly aura bursts out. With one strike, he beheads both of them. Blood splatters everywhere. Casually, he also breaks the signboard. With each step he takes, the deadly aura extends ominously like a ghost. Fung Van Keep glides past a wall covered with charity certificates and commendations from the Mountain Sect and Tung Ton. The Mountain Sect members discover the intruder. They sneer. "Who's this brat that dares show up here?" Without replying, Fung Van Keep grips his sword tightly. He charges straight at them, shouting, "If you rush at me, don't blame us." Focused minds. After finishing speaking, each person activates their abilities to empower their weapons and launch magical attacks. Fung Van Keep moves like a ghost. The sword swings out several times, quickly taking down the Sun Tu Duong group. Blood flows in streams, staining the stone floor red. He stops before the last man, who panics and drops his weapon. Trembling, he begs, "Please don't come closer." Fung Van Keep coldly orders, "Your new Thu Hai hunters, call him out here." The man stammers nervously, "I'm going right now." But before he can step forward, deadly energy bursts out. It severs his head with a slash, blood splattering. He senses the person he's looking for is nearby. He thinks to himself, this one is worthless now. The root must be eradicated. The Thu Hai hunter appears looking bizarre, sharp teeth drooling messily, his eyes hungry as if wanting to swallow the living whole. He growls, "No need to call him, your father is here." "Oh, I forgot to say your 2 other Class A officer fathers are here too." With that, 2 figures land behind him. Fung Van Keep slips through the bizarre creatures ahead, thinking to himself this cultivation method clearly forces absorption of the core, leading to rebellion against the sect. He whispers to the 2 behind him, "I'm not here to look for you." "Then get lost quickly." The wide-brimmed hat female hunter laughs scornfully. "Ha ha, you think killing a few Class B guys makes you arrogant? The white-haired female hunter joins in with a mocking tone. I have a suggestion. Let's crush him into 3 parts. Whoever gets the bigger share bets a Class B core. Phuong Van Keep thinks the general is successfully triggered, but I'm still worried these two might run off. No one is adding deadly energy to themselves. 3 waves charge forward with weapons drawn. He releases a massive burst of deadly energy that blows the 2 away. The white-haired woman slides across the ground, eyes wide in shock. She has some real strength. It startled me. The scarf-wearing woman realizes he's no ordinary man. She shouts, "Stop playing with him! Get serious!" Phuong Van Keep sneers mockingly. "Get serious. Do you still think you have a chance?" Serious, look down at your feet. Deadly energy erupts, forming sharp spears that shoot up from the ground, piercing the 2 like skewered pork. Blood sprays everywhere, screams of pain echo. While he's distracted, the Thuhai hunter secretly fires a strong poison at him. Phuong Van Keep tilts his head, easily dodging. Mocking, "You still use this cheap trick to try to outsmart me. Looks like you really don't understand how high the sky and earth are." With that, he releases a huge quantum energy blast straight at him. The Thuhai hunter roars in anger. "You think I'm rubbish." He unleashes full poison power, his monstrous arm spraying a large amount of toxin directly at Phuong Van Keep's face. But at close range, he can't dodge in time. The poison floods his mouth, but he doesn't spit it out. Instead, he devours it down to the last drop and then spits the poison back into the Thuhai hunter's face. The hunter screams miserably, "Ah, my face!" Phuong Van Keep growls angrily, "You still care about your face." Phuong Van Keep slams the hunter's head against the wall behind him. His face is crushed, flat rocks shatter under the terrifying force. Gripping his head, he roars, "Did anyone tell you to—" "Only dare to take advantage. In this situation, you're all trash." The hunter screams, curses, "Damn it, don't underestimate others." His skin peels off scales, grow pupils shrink in an instant. He transforms into a green snake, bearing sharp teeth with a shrill cry, "I'm an officer of Sun Tu Duong with Bao Chi Han." But as he raises his head to bite, Phuong Van Keep stabs his throat with his sword. Blood spurts. Coldly, he says, "If you don't have the skill, don't overstep to absorb the core." The sword slices through the hunter's throat. He collapses, powerless blood pooling. Suddenly a voice rings out, "Oh, thank you." Approaching a blond man looks down at the hunter's body, muttering, "Ton Ka insisted on making this slob-drooling bumpkin an officer. I'm stuck figuring out how to deal with him without offending Ton Ta." He looks up with a cold smile. "One strike like that is 70% of my skill. Join my side, no interview needed." Phuong Van Keep ignores the offer, his cold eyes recognizing him, the blonde who once followed Tuong Ton, one of those who pushed him off a cliff, forcing him to leave to Kandu. The anger ignited, he almost snarled, "You also recognize your bones." In an instant, he moved at the speed of light, appearing and disappearing as he rushed in front of him with a sword slash. But the blonde guy quickly raised a flame to block it, sighing in relief. "Phew, almost lost my throat." He countered with fire, but Phuong Van Keep wasn't fooled. He tore off his burning jacket and jumped back. The blonde laughed gleefully. "Ha ha, quick to strip daily warm-up fight today's especially crazy." Phuong Van Keep's face was smudged with burn marks. He thought to himself a fire talent, but the guy showed no sign of weakness. The blonde pulled out a Japanese-style sword, stabbed it into the ground to show off. "Killing 3 A-rank people counts as a top 200 A-rank master, but you picked the wrong person." He hung his thick fur jacket on the sword, then charged with a roar, "I'm a Bak Daya rank this year." The punch aimed straight at him, but Phuong Van Keep quickly raised his hand to block. The blonde took advantage of his distraction to unleash a flame burst on his shoulder, then hooked a punch to his jaw, knocking him backward. He shouted, "What are you spacing out for?" Phuong Van Keep looked at the burn on his shoulder, full of suspicion. "I clearly blocked it, so why did it still burn me?" The blonde tapped his temple and laughed arrogantly, "Ha, analyzing my talent. With the brain of a mediocre like you, how could you understand Bak Dai's combat style?" He tried to throw another punch, but this time Phuong Van Keep wasn't distracted. He bent down, grabbed a brick from the ground, and hurled it straight at the charging blonde. Suddenly, a terrifying heat radiated from the brick, melting a large hole through it. The blonde cursed, "Useless." But before he could brag, Phuong Van Keep's cursed sword pierced through the hole in the brick, pressing against his face. The blonde hurriedly withdrew his golden sword to block, gritting his teeth mockingly. Are you the only one with a weapon? Realizing his block, Phuong Van Keep smirked, thinking, I see this guy isn't really a fire talent. He jumped forward and knocked the sword out of his hand. To the opponent's astonishment, a death aura flared up, enveloping Phuong Van Keep's arms as he launched a series of punches. The blonde struggled to defend his mind in turmoil. Are they all talent users? Suddenly, a fist fight Phuong Van Keep kept punching relentlessly, shattering the surrounding rocks, making the space tremble. He taunted, why not set fire anymore? Is your attack so fast you can't focus? So you can't use your mind to speed up electron movement. The blonde was stunned in disbelief. How is that possible? Just a few moves and he's already broken my defense this much. Phuong Van Keep looked at his panicked expression with even more delight. Hulan's starting to freak out. Not surprising. I noticed my clothes burned quickly around the steel zipper, but during close combat, the thin shirt barely got scorched. When you burn stone, I flash Lin Kuang Tentak containing iron, copper, and nickel metals, rich in free electrons easily heated by you, but to confirm, I attacked with cursed sword energy, and sure enough, you couldn't burn it because it's the void of death. After analyzing, Phuong Van Keep taunted, although you hide your talent carefully, I still detected your mental talent. As long as your mind is disturbed, it's useless. Yet you dare to call me useless. He swung his fist hard, sending the blonde flying hundreds of meters, collapsing with blood dripping from his mouth. The blonde scrambled up with bloodshot eyes, roaring, that's only a partial guess, don't get too arrogant. When I unleash all my talents, not just electrons, nearly 100 ordinary atomic and molecular particles can be accelerated by me. His whole body burst into fierce flames, activating beyond physical limits. Blood streamed from his nose as he screamed wildly, forming a super high-temperature environment to burn you, tormenting you into ashes. Suddenly, his arm was severed. A bewildered blonde didn't understand what happened when his other arm was also cut in two, his legs severed next with blood spraying everywhere. He fell down with all limbs severed, screaming, ah, my arms, my legs! Phuong Van Keep nearly missed the words just now. Me, death energy is void. It belongs to no particle type. Only now did the blonde realize he was trapped and humbly begged, good hero, please spare me, Phuong Van Keep said coldly. Don't worry, I'll send Tuong Ton down there with you. The blonde panicked and screamed, ah, wait! When the cursed sword blade pressed to his face, he stammered, begging, please don't kill me. I'll tell you to can do the name to can do made Phuong Van Keep freeze. But the sword was plunged too deep. The blonde guy coughed up blood from the wound and he panicked, grabbing him and shouting, hey, don't die, what did you say about can do? But the blonde guy just squinted, his breath fading away. Phuong Van Keep clicked his tongue angrily, suddenly turning and leaving with suspicion in his heart. Before dying, what did he want to say about Tuong Ton and Kandu? Suddenly, the corner of the blonde guy's mouth twitched into a smirk, a proud look in his eyes. He thought to himself, luckily I separated the particles in my heart just now, or I'd be dead for sure. These 25 guys not only survived, but are so strong. It's tough, but I can reattach limbs in 10 minutes. I have to report to Tonka immediately. But before he could rejoice, a terrifying force sucked up his pool of blood. A blonde guy stared blankly. How is this possible? His whole body was pulled into the air, screaming in pain like being torn apart. Ah! When? But Phuong Van Keep used a spatial circle to absorb all the battle debris, calmly walking away. His death aura receded his body, returning to normal. Feeling a bit disappointed, he thought, just trying to act modestly this time, wiping out the evidence. Probably no one will notice, right? The entire Sun Tu Duong area was sucked clean, only the foundation remained. From afar, Ma Tu Kam watched everything, angrily scolding, so reckless this person acts without thinking. She turned and left, transforming into someone else, silently heading toward where Tuong Ton's group was fighting in the dungeon. The blonde guy anxiously turned to ask Ton Ka, are you still trying to push forward? That's an A-rank demon beast. Tuong Ton responded confidently. What's there to fear? Don't you know I just got evaluated as A-rank? Let me show you how powerful I am. In finishing, he lunged at the demon beast, swinging his sword rapidly, bragging non-stop. Remember to snap a pic of me killing the first A-rank demon beast? But before the sword could touch it, suddenly stopped mid-air. A Tuong Ton was stunned, not understanding what was happening. The demon beast wrapped its body in sharp spines, gripping a Tuong Ton tightly, who screamed miserably, Ah! Blood splattered everywhere, and it got more excited, squeezing harder. He gritted his teeth, wondering, was that just a hallucination? Was I hypnotized when I lost it? The subordinates, seeing the chaos, turned and fled, shouting, "Tonka, hold on, we're calling for help, run fast!" The demon beast's sharp spines pressed close to Tuong Ton's eyes, but a streak of light flashed, pulling him away from the beast's claws. The rescuer was none other than the blonde angel who once helped Phuong Van Keep. At this moment, she wore a pure white outfit, radiating purity from her soul, completely different from Tuong Ton's memory when he only saw her in earthly thoughts. She sighed in relief. That was close. The demon beast roared in anger at having its prey stolen, its spiked tentacles chasing after them. The angel gently held Tuong Ton, saying, "Hold on, I'm healing your wounds." Hearing her voice, Tuong Ton drowsily opened his eyes, mumbling, "Ouch, am I in heaven now?" The ringing of an incoming call pulled Tuong Ton out of his daze. After a night partying with a group of female demon beasts, he sat up growling into the phone. "Last night you better actually have something going on." The information from the other end drove him mad, and he punched the buzzing female demon beast next to him hard on the head. Tuong Ton shouted, "What kind of joke is this? How did both the person and the house disappear?" And he ordered, "Help me arrange a press conference for tomorrow morning." The female demon beasts sniffed the blood scent and crawled up to lick his arm. Dawn broke in the blink of an eye. At the press conference, Tuong Ton wore a black suit, putting on a wealthy expression as he entered the hall. The reporters swarmed, flashbulbs flashing non-stop, buzzing. "Tuong Ton is here. Is he alone? So friendly." He approached the relatives of the Son Tu Duong victims, hugging and comforting them. "Uncle, aunt, from now on I am your son. I will be filial to you both." A guard shouted loudly, pushing reporters aside so Tonka could take the stage. Before Tuong Ton stepped onto the stage in front of the name board with Bao Chi Han and declared firmly, "The cause of the devastating attack on Son Tu Duong is still under investigation. I believe the truth will soon be revealed." He spoke while shedding a few crocodile tears. "Compared to the losses Bao Chi Han had to bear, what saddens me most is the many comrades lost who experienced life and death in just one night." He bowed his head with a somber tone to remember them. "I plan to turn the Son Tu Duong ruins into a welfare institute. Son Tu Duong and the Son Tu Duong Fund will be established to ensure every family member of the victims receives generous compensation." Hearing this, the victims' relatives angrily shouted, "Chairman Tuong, we don't want money. Right, we want to catch the culprit." Tuong Ton pondered, his eyes sharp as knives, replying in a steely voice, "Don't worry, parents, no matter how powerful and ruthless the culprit behind this is, I will root them out and bring justice to everyone." Anger exploded in Tuong Ton. His hand slammed hard on the table, causing the nameplate to wobble and fall. His face briefly showed a fake smile, as if he had just killed without remorse, now putting on a pitiful expression to win people's hearts. It's not hard to see why other forces fear him, a terrifying strength mixed with unpredictable cunning. In a sealed room, the big boss attentively watched the press conference on the TV screen, his lips curling into a half-scornful, half-respectful smile at Tuong Ton's perfect act. He really is an old fox capable of shaking the reputation of Kung Bao Chi Han while cleverly winning Old Master Lu's favor. The two suddenly glanced at each other, their eyes locking in a moment that seemed to freeze time, seemingly thinking of one name, Butler Lu. Without the owner saying another word, he nodded in understanding, turned, and hurriedly left. "Got it. I'll bring Phuong Van Keep here." The scene shifted to Phuong Van Keep, who shook his head coldly, his face full of dissatisfaction. "I won't go." Butler Lu stood in front of him, sweat beads running down his forehead, his eyes clearly worried, trying to keep a gentle tone. "Don't overthink it. You're helping the boss get revenge. He just wants to express his gratitude." Phuong Van Keep frowned, looking at him suspiciously. "How do you know I left evidence?" Just then a bird suddenly flapped its wings, flying past Butler Lu's head. Butler Lu startled, trying to keep balance, his voice trembling slightly. "Can we go outside to talk? I'm not good at hovering." Phuong Van Keep retreated into a hidden corner beneath the railway line hundreds of meters high, making even the experienced old man struggle. Fortunately, no bird flew into him again. After persistent and patient persuasion, Butler Lu finally got Phuong Van Keep to nod reluctantly. Both got into the car, the tense atmosphere still lingering. Entering the magnificent mansion, Butler Lu glanced at Phuong Van Keep, his tone teasing. "Have you been living in a cesspit since you walked out the door?" Don't want to return to the old place, huh?" Phuong Van Keep sighed, his tired eyes sweeping over the lavish scene, replying with a weary tone, "Yeah, the old home just makes me want to cry." In just a moment, both were standing in the grand hall. Butler Lu bowed respectfully, his voice reverberating. "Big boss Phuong Van Keep has arrived, sir." Calmly, he placed a steaming hot cup of tea in front of him, smiling. "Drink the tea to cool down, little brother." He lifted the teacup to his lips, but his sharp eyes never left Phuong Van Keep. He paid no mind to the scrutiny, quietly drinking the tea to the last drop. Finished, the big boss changed tone and went straight to the point. "You went a bit too far with this." Phuong Van Keep immediately narrowed his eyes, his voice challenging. "How do you know it was me?" The big boss put down his teacup, the soft clink echoing in the tense air, then answered in a steady voice, "Yesterday, when I was yelling for revenge, I felt your gaze was unfriendly. Such a big event, but no news. With your strength, you could still hide it in Batti City. Who else could do it besides you?" Phuong Van Keep smirked, his eyes showing a hint of indifference. "Yeah, it's not entirely for you. There's my own reason, too." Seeing him hesitate, the big boss slammed his hand on the table and ordered, "Give me the teacup." Pouring tea with one hand, he continued speaking steadily without pause. "I know you have a grudge against Tuong Ton, but that guy is currently popular with the people. Fighting him would make you the villain. Once your identity is exposed, you become the common enemy of society. Do you really want to live a life where enemies are waiting at every doorstep?" Hearing these words, Phuong Van Keep froze. His heart stirred. How does he know about me? Has he investigated me already? The big boss waved his cigarette, white smoke swirling around his hand, continuing, "Yes, you're dangerous. You can kill a few fake A-level geniuses, but what about hundreds of A-levels? What if an S-level or even a top artist gets involved? People in this society are much harder to deal with than the fools at the door." Phuong Van Keep frowned, his voice suspicious, mixed with surprise. "Could it be that you called me here to advise me not to seek revenge?" The big boss lit the cigarette on his lips, glowing red, his voice defiant. "Who said no revenge? You must revenge the hell out of it!" He puffed out thick white smoke curling into the air, then continued with sharp eyes. "But before that, you need to prepare 3 things: strategy, teammates, and money. Coincidentally, I happen to have some experience with these 3 things." Hearing those words, Phuong Van Keep nodded slightly, silently agreeing. He's right. It's such a simple matter. Why didn't I think of it before? I really have been isolated from the world for too long. Suddenly, a strong, foul odor emanated from him, attracting flies buzzing around. That unpleasant smell made the big boss unable to bear it. He covered his nose and bluntly shouted, "You haven't bathed for days, you smell like a corpse. Take young Master Phuong to bathe, then clean his room for my son." Hearing the order, the subordinates immediately rushed forward and quickly showed Phuong Van Keep the way. Since the request was not disadvantageous, he quietly nodded and followed them. As Phuong Van Keep's back gradually disappeared, Steward Lu spoke softly with a contemplative tone. The big boss swallowed the Quang Bao Chi's soul. This deal is extremely risky. Wasn't he supposed to be the one least afraid of risk? The big boss smirked, his gaze briefly tinged with melancholy. "Do you think this kid resembles my son at all?" Steward Lu tilted his head thoughtfully for a long time before answering. "He does resemble him a bit, but the eldest son is much more handsome." The gossip behind their backs made Phuong Van Keep, even from afar, involuntarily sneeze repeatedly. Under guidance, Phuong Van Keep finally reached the bathroom. He smiled confidently, taking off his shirt to reveal a six-pack sculpted like a statue. His clothes were thrown onto the floor, and he leisurely stepped toward the shower as the water began to flow. Suddenly, the bathroom door slightly opened, and a clear voice sounded, "Shower downstairs, I'm too lazy to go upstairs." A young woman with glossy black hair took off her outer clothes and entered the bathroom with a female attendant. Through the misty steam, she vaguely saw a figure in front of her and mistakenly thought it was her brother. The black-haired girl from a foreign land. Her eyes wide with astonishment. "Is that you?" Without thinking, she rushed forward and hugged Phuong Van Keep tightly. Tears streaming, her voice choked. So you're still alive? Boo-hoo-hoo. Faced with the trembling figure of the strange girl, Fung Van Keep was stunned, his mind blank, not understanding what was happening. Next to the maid was none other than Ma Tiu Kam in disguise. Quickly realizing the mistake, she hurriedly put glasses on the eldest young lady. Only then, through the glasses, did the eldest young lady clearly see the person in front of her. His face only resembled her brother about 50%. In reality, he was a complete stranger. Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment, and she shouted instead, "Dad, there's a thug in the house!" Too embarrassed to bear it, she quickly ran out. Ma Tilcum panicked and chased after her, calling to the eldest young lady. "Put your clothes on first." As Ma Tilcum was about to leave, Fung Van Keep quickly grabbed her shoulder, his voice low. "Wait for me outside later." Watching the two figures gradually disappear, he finally relaxed and let himself fall under the shower. The water poured down heavily as Fung Van Keep let it wash away dirt and fatigue. But in his head, one question kept spinning. Why did she come running here? After bathing, he dried his hair, stepped outside, and couldn't help but sigh with relief. Ma Tilcum had already been waiting there for some time. Fung Van Keep raised an eyebrow, half joking, half serious. "Isn't this skill to infiltrate Quang Bao Chi Hon and assassinate Tung Ton? Pretty good." Facing him, Ma Tilcum no longer bothered to maintain her disguise. She quickly returned to her true form and responded to the approaching stranger. "Tung Ton needs to check Fung Van Keep," continuing in a probing tone. "So what are you planning to do now?" Ma Tilcum lowered her face, her voice deep. "It's quite cool under the big tree. Borrowing the protection of the big boss, just act according to the situation, no need to tell you more. Being away too long will make the eldest young lady suspicious." After speaking, she immediately disguised herself back as a maid and hurried back to the eldest young lady. Shortly after, the boss arranged for Fung Van Keep to rest in his son's room. He stepped forward, a meaningful smile on his lips. "Put on the coat. Have you already met my daughter?" Fung Van Keep nodded slightly with a calm tone. I accidentally bumped into her. "Boss, could you exchange me for a black coat?" Hearing that, the boss's face darkened and he growled angrily. "How could my son like to wear black coats while he was alive? Do you want my daughter to mistake again?" Butler Lu quickly stepped in with a steady voice to report boss the newly established Kui Thien Son Temple Fund by Tuang Ton really has problems. Look at the sponsor list. The boss glanced at the tablet, his eyes flashing with surprise. Tudo Dat from the Black Dragon Society. He threw the tablet forcefully at Butler Lu, turning around with murderous intent. "This guy dares to collude with Kung Bao Chi Han. Does he not want to live anymore? Let's go!" Seeing Fung Van Keep standing stunned, he shouted loudly, "What are you standing there for? Come along!" Shortly after, at the Black Dragon Society's hideout, the underlings were noisily gathering around a mahjong table. One slapped down a 5-tile, laughing heartily, "Ha-ha!" The bald guy angrily slammed the table in response. Bin tile dead yet." While the group was heatedly cursing and playing mahjong, suddenly a car rushed in, crashing into the bunch and sending them flying like crickets. Butler Lu opened the car door with a low voice. "Be careful, boss." Stones and debris flew everywhere. The wall collapsed amid the dust cloud. The bald guy roared with bloodshot eyes. "Damn it! Charging into the Black Dragon Society like that, don't you want to live?" He swung his arm to teach the stranger a lesson. But before he could touch him, Fung Van Keep launched a devastating punch that sent him flying onto the roof, crashing loudly. The rest went mad and charged like a pack of wolves. The man in green growled, his arms turning into sharp drill points, and lunged forward, but in the blink of an eye, Fung Van Keep broke them. The sound of cracking bones was terrifying. The man in green clutched his arm, screaming miserably, "Ah! My hand!" Without stopping, Fung Van Keep kicked hard, causing him to dislocate his jaw and roll on the ground. A guy wearing glasses sneaked up from behind, but Fung Van Keep was quick as lightning and kicked him down as well. He grabbed the snakehead from the glasses guy's hand. Fung Van Keep narrowed his eyes with an icy cold tone. "Blow your head off." Then he threw an uppercut that made him fall face first unconscious. Seeing the chaos, the boss hurried forward and shouted, "Stop! Stop! Stop! Do you think this is a fight against monsters?" He turned to Butler Lu with an annoyed tone. "You go then. This guy doesn't know his place." The boss's eyes were sharp and his voice stern. "If anything happens to Fung Van Keep, I won't be able to explain to Adat." Butler Lu bowed slightly and calmly replied, "Understood, sir." Alone, he stepped forward, his solid figure standing firm among the Black Dragon Society crowd. Around them were 5 or 6 weapons' eyes, cold as if ready to tear the opponent apart. Butler Lu walked slowly, step by step. Each footstep echoed as thick smoke suddenly spread, filling the space. The Black Dragon Society members whispered in confusion, wondering about this strange smoke. The woman in the yellow dress clenched a sword tightly and shouted loud and clear, "Everyone stay alert!" for me. But the manager of the big corporation was not so easy to deal with, especially with his talent. But she was so focused on charging at Butler Lu that she didn't realize her comrades behind were screaming in panic. When she turned around, it was too late. Butler Lu's talent, the silent historian, manifested as a giant iron armor covered in sharp spikes. Suddenly, it enveloped her. The sharp spikes pierced deep into her flesh, blood flowing like streams, soaking the cramped cell. She was still alive, but unable to struggle, only able to moan in bone-deep pain. Butler Lu slightly opened the armor's door calmly. "Hello, we are here to see President Dat." She trembled in pain and replied, I'm in the room." Hearing this, Butler Lu locked the latch politely and said, "Thank you." Inside the room, a sickly and emaciated man sat on a chair. His breath was weak, dependent on an oxygen tank nearby. Medicine scattered around, the air heavy with herbal scent. Behind him stood a solemn statue placed with reverence, as if his strong faith in religion was the only thing keeping him clinging to life. In a dim room, a frail old man with his body entangled in wires and medical devices sits curled up on a worn-out chair. A Tudo lifts his cloudy eyes to scrutinize the intruder and croaks, "Boss, what do you want?" The big boss, with an authoritative presence, slowly approaches the altar. He lifts a burning candle, the flickering light casting shadows on his cold face. He sighs softly, his voice full of sarcasm. You even pay respects to the Bodhisattva. Truly a good person." Suddenly, he tilts the candle, letting hot wax drip onto Tudo Dat's face. He growls, "You damn well have money to donate to Tuong Ton, but no money to pay me." Tudo Dat grits his teeth, enduring the pain, trying to keep calm. "You know that's money I earned from smuggling nuclei? The budget borrowed from Tuong Ton was only to launder it. That money paid the wages of over 100 brothers in the Black Dragon Society. The living expenses for more than 20 mouths in my house have already been spent from that fund." He pauses, a look of helplessness flashing in his eyes. "Boss, if it weren't for survival, I wouldn't have caused such trouble. The truce agreement our faction signed 3 months ago wasn't easy to get. Who doesn't want peace so they can make money?" The big boss throws the candle onto the table with a dry clatter. His face darkens. It's not easy for you to borrow money from me to hold on a little longer. I'll give you more time with the interest, but you have to tell me exactly what Tuong Ton is doing." Tudo Dat stays silent, sweat pouring down his wrinkled face like a waterfall. Seeing no response, the big boss snorts coldly and signals Steward Lu. Steward Lu nods and steps forward to the oxygen tank beside them. He kicks it hard, denting it. Oxygen hisses out from the valve. Panicked, Tudo Dat rips off the breathing tube. She gasps for air, shouting, "You're ruining my oxygen tank." "Damn bastard." He hurriedly grabs the backup oxygen tank, but before he can touch it, the big boss stops his hand. He leans in close, his eyes sharp as knives, enunciating each word. "Tudo Dat is panting like this and still stubborn, huh?" He lets go. Tudo Dat quickly grabs the oxygen tank, breathing heavily, chest heaving. I only helped him buy some kids with potential from the mountain region. Then arranged for them to go to the school he sponsors. At first I thought it was to nurture a reserve force for the soul frenzy. But later he even accepted ordinary kids studying other things I don't know. After hearing this, the big boss releases his grip, eyes still fixed on Tudo Dat. He grabs Tudo Dat's hair, his voice low and threatening. "Consider today like I never came here. If you dare to say a word, I'll expose you. Go outside and see who Tuong Ton will find to cause trouble." Saying this, he turns decisively and leaves, leaving the room sinking into heavy silence. Phuong Van Keep quietly follows, secretly admiring. This boss is truly a veteran, every move carefully calculated. He smirks, eyes flashing with a spark. Just wait for Tuong Ton to slip up, and everything will be clear. Soon he stops at a noisy bar where the smell of alcohol and laughter blend together. Since meeting Kandu, he had given up the habit of sipping wine, but today the bar's atmosphere makes his heart waver. Suddenly, the large screen in the bar lights up with a lively advertisement. Welcome, guests, to the charity banquet of Bat Tai City. Please welcome the Soul Frenzy Chairman Tuong Ton. Phuong Van Keep freezes his eyes darken, imagining that name ringing like a knife, stirring up memories from back then. He was just a small team leader in the society like many others. So how did he become a major figure, holding the sky with one hand? He mutters mind-tangled, trying to rummage through his memory. What exactly happened while I was absent for 25 days? Lost in thought, a thick liquid suddenly pours down on his head. Phuong Van Keep jerks up his head and sees a swordsman from a previous team, face flushed red from drunkenness, vomiting wildly. The man laughs loudly, slurring, "Come on, drink more here." Then he yells at a mage named Athoy. "I salute you. You think this is the green belt or what?" The swordsman collapses face down on the table, unconscious. Athoy didn't bring just 6 bags. He pulled out a few spirit cores and muttered, "Just 1 glass of beer and you still want to drink hard liquor? Hey, didn't expect to run into you here. This glass is on me for both of us." He pulled a chair and sat down, raising his glass amid the noisy crowd. The screen continued broadcasting a resonant voice. "Thank you for the speech, Mr. Tuong Ton. Next, we will proceed to the auction segment." Athoy took a sip of wine, eyes briefly showing admiration. "That guy's good, a legendary battle from 10 years ago. Look at me 10 years later, still just a goat level." Phuong Van Keep, hearing this, sharpened his gaze and immediately inquired, "What happened in that legendary battle 10 years ago?" Thoy's eyes widened in surprise, his tone cautious. "The mature guard level alarm has sounded already, such a big event, and you don't know." He paused, then sighed. "Anyway, I've cut off contact with the outside world for 20 years now. It's a long story. Want to hear it?" Phuong Van Keep nodded slightly, but his mind drifted back to the past. He recalled the days trapped in that secret realm where sawtooth shark meat mixed with miscellaneous B-rank monsters was made into a traditional hamburger. It looked delicious, but biting into it, he felt bland and bored, really wanting to get out and live a life without killing out there. He once thought that just then Athoy's worried voice rang out, "Don't feed me anymore. Master is about to die, doesn't want to eat anything." Athoy looked at his master face, revealing unease. "Master, you may not want to eat, but please don't say such ominous things." Seeing his master lost in a daze, staring at the female nurse, Athoy snapped irritably with dissatisfaction. "Your body is still strong." Suddenly, an urgent announcement flashed above them. "Mature guard level alert. Extremely high mortality rate, priority required for rank B or above. Please quickly assemble at East C. Resisting the invaders is the duty of each of us." The old master sat up abruptly, face solemn decisively, pulling the syringe from his hand, his voice deep. "I've waited my whole life. What must come will come." Athoy, worried voice trembling. "Extremely high mortality rate, master. Maybe we should skip this. I just barely passed the rank C exam." The mature guard alarm sounds only once every 37 summers, but back then master was too scared and ran away once. "Ha ha ha! As a result, your parents and 4 older sisters all died. This time, if you don't go master, you will die with regrets." As he spoke, he pulled open a drawer and rummaged for the strongest ice magic staff made from the body of the Ice King's ring east. Thoy's eyes widened in surprise. "Master, are you serious? You've piqued my curiosity. I have to follow and see. Even if things fall apart, master can still hold the line, right?" So the 2 master and disciple decisively set off. Outside in the East Sea region, crowds gathered with the atmosphere boiling like a furnace. Athoy, excited eyes shining bright, constantly observing around, murmuring, "Wow, it feels like within 100 kilometers around here are all legendary masters of Pham Thien from Nguk Tan. S-rank geniuses can kill invisibly even when standing still. Then there's Lu 18 of Thangia Hak, a monster who passed the S-rank test purely by physical combat." The 18 clan nearby was bragging to their neighbor loudly. "I'm not exaggerating back then with just my left arm. I took the lives of 3 S-rank beasts." The old master glanced at Athoy and teased seeing an S-rank and making such a fuss like never seen one before. He pointed in a direction with a meaningful tone. "The heavy head horse is over there." Athoy turned in the old man's direction and was startled, exclaiming, They both have arrived. Our vice president of the Tiger Breed Guild ranks just below the guild president, and the only lone warrior. The guild president's IQ is 390, but because he acts too rarely, he doesn't meet the standard. Coochi, the lone warrior of the guild, stepped closer to the two eyes, sharp, but with a friendly smile on her lips. "Ah, Lao, you're here too," the old master replied with a warm, slightly proud tone. "Take my little disciple to see the world." Guild leader. Coochi, cold-faced but dignified, glanced at Athoy with sarcasm. "Little pest, judging by your limp limbs, you're not even rank B, right? The 3 mature guards mean war. Not careful and you'll lose your life." Athoy frowned, eyes flashing stubbornness. "Little pest." "Ha!" Lao quickly waved his hand, smiling conciliatory. Hey, it's okay. If the kid dodges a bit later, he'll be fine." But Athoy refused to stay quiet, raising his head voice full of spirit. "I'm not afraid of the mature guards. Isn't it proof that there's an intruder? Drive them all out." Coochi stroked his beard and laughed heartily, his eyes gleaming with teasing. "No more advice. The one thing young people never learn is to listen to their elders. Remember what I said, if things go wrong, run immediately." Then she looked seriously at both of them. "So, what's the situation now? More than 2,000 tons of unknown material suddenly entered within 100 nautical miles of the South China Sea. Satellites and radar can't scan it, probably because the 3D shield is activated. We dare not act rashly. We can only concentrate as much fighting power as possible before this 2,000-ton object docks." Athoy blinked in shock, mumbling, "What the hell is that 2,000 tons? This weight is probably a battle fleet, not an aircraft carrier." He chuckled hoarsely with a hint of excitement. "Heh, 2 aircraft carriers in a battle fleet. Who is sending these 2 aircraft carriers here? Whoever sent the president to the UN meeting wants to ambush us." Halao heard Coochi and looked incredulous, muttering, "Is this an invasion? An invasion wouldn't act on its own." Just then a deafening explosion rang out. Everyone turned to see a huge object slam hard against the protective shield. "Look quickly! Something's crashing into the protective shield!" Then Coochi shouted. "The shield is breaking fast!" Countless warships aggressively broke through. Athoy laughed loudly with full confidence. "Hey, I guessed it all right. We can use the Heaven's Wrath to destroy the aircraft carriers. No planes or missiles can intercept it. Heaven's Wrath has a 31% destruction rate." Halao glanced at Coochi, his voice low. "If we lock them all down, we can kill them with one strike, right?" Coochi smirked meaningfully. Hey, then please lend a hand." Meanwhile, the enemy's atmosphere was tense as the commander's eyes flashed with killing intent, quietly discussing. "So sneak in quietly or attack head-on. What are the odds of winning if we confront them directly?" Han glanced at his subordinates with pressure in his voice. "This mission gathers the top squads and the strongest geniuses of Liet Dao Nation. We place our hopes on all the people while the economy is on the brink of collapse. Losing this battle would be worse than death." After he finished, a sudden barrage of weapons attacked. At that moment, a thick ice wall appeared, blocking all electronic gunfire. Too close breaking suddenly was too late. The Air Force soldiers screamed in panic. A series of planes crashed and exploded after hitting the sudden ice wall. The one who acted was Halao, standing tall beside Athoy. Inside, Athoy's faith flared as he thought, "Master and I both blocked it. We can fight back." Suddenly, an enemy general stepped out, face twisted with rage. "And they still dare to resist. Truly delusional." He grabbed a giant warhead and roared, "This one's powerful enough to take them down." He lifted the warhead barehanded and threw it. The warhead shot straight into the ice wall, smashing a large section. Dust and smoke clouded the air, accompanied by the thunderous explosion of Tibulus terrestris. Athoy gritted his teeth angrily and shouted, "Damn it again!" He quickly backed up and began chanting a spell. Halao, without hesitation, suddenly stepped up to shield Athoy. His whole body radiated a chilling cold aura. The ice staff in his hand shimmered as layers of ice spread from his arm, covering Athoy, frightened. Athoy quickly stepped back, voice trembling. "Master, do you mean to—" Halao didn't answer, just exhaled a cold breath. His eyes sharp as knives, he shouted, "Eternal Ice Blast!" The cold burst out, spreading at a terrifying speed, freezing the sea surface into a steel-hard layer of ice. All enemy warships were trapped immobile in the ice. On the enemy side, a soldier trembled, chattering his teeth. So cold. This is magic immune to talent. Even S rank would freeze to death. "Quick, get into my central fire circle. The general sneered with disdain. Just an A-rank wide-area spell trying to stop us. Childish. He pointed at the two giant Heaven's Wrath aircraft carriers. Both the mid and rear sections of the two carriers are heavily armed. Coochi stood nearby, his eyes cold, immediately ordering, "Now! If we wait another second, they'll break free." Dark storm clouds rolled in the sky, signaling a deadly battle about to erupt. Suddenly, a dazzling beam of light tore through the sky. The enemy general noticed something unusual, looked up with a terrified gaze. This is an energy column. The beam descended, destroying an entire frozen sea area, causing the enemy troops to panic and scatter. Screams rang out, "Run quickly! Their target is the ammunition depot." But at that moment, a piercing alarm sounded. The suit's weapon overheated. Tian-Ke is temporarily unusable. An earth-shattering explosion erupted. Brilliant light illuminated the entire space on this side. On this side, Old Ha was exhausted after draining his energy. He panted heavily, his chest heaving. Athoy, on the other hand, laughed smugly. Ha, deserved it. But his laughter abruptly stopped. His eyes widened, sweat pouring down like a shower as he saw the scene before him. Coochi stood nearby, forcing a smile. Hey, too many fish slipped through the net. The dust cleared, revealing numerous awakened people from Li Dao Nation. Clearly, they had put their full effort into this battle. The vice president of the clan signaled to a subordinate named Shich Hao, speaking in a low voice, guessing the power level of the two Tianfuja gifted talents. The other immediately activated his ability. His eyes lit up as he checked. Li Dao Nation had 1 S-level, 8 A-levels, 197 B-levels, and 412 C-levels. While on our side, there was 1 S-level, 5 A-levels, 26 B-levels, 89 C-levels, and 1 D-level. All eyes turned to Athoy, accompanied by soft, mocking laughter. He trembled with anger and growled, C-level, so what about me? But I'm a C-level mage. Unable to hold back, Athoy shouted loudly and charged straight at the enemy. Old Ha called out anxiously, "Hey, Athoy!" But it was too late to stop him. Coochi, standing nearby, chuckled slightly. Hey, sure enough, he rushed out. Athoy charged close to the enemy, his wand spinning eyes blazing as if believing his master's universal magic could ignore levels to suppress them. Today I will definitely kill a few Tianfuji from Li Dao Nation. He swung his arm and shouted, "Dance of the Ice Shard Blade!" A giant ice blade formed in mid-air, spinning fiercely, rushing straight toward the enemy. The enemy commander roared, "Drive this island rebel away!" A fighter named Smoo immediately charged out, his gaze cold and sharp. Athoy laughed confidently. "Come on, no matter your level, you'll all freeze to death if you get hit." Old Ha was startled, his face pale. This is bad, this kid is about to take a hit. But Coochi calmly patted Old Ha's shoulder gently. "You rest, it's not a big problem." At that moment, Smoo launched a powerful kick straight at Athoy's chest, freezing the air as if time stopped. Athoy was knocked back by Smoo's terrifying kick. Blood spurted from his mouth, his body flying fast like a kite with a broken string, and slammed into a rock wall. Behind him, he fell, eyes red and teary, crying, "Hoo-hoo-hoo." An A-level Tianfuji, or maybe an S-level, is really terrifying. It turned out when sparring with his master, the master always gave way to him. Coochi's sharp eyes watched the battlefield closely, slightly curling his lips as he called out only 1 B-level Trung. Then he cautiously tested the opponent's strength as well. Smoo was proud after his victory, raising his head to taunt the crowd. The fighting power of Thuvong Nation is just that. But at that moment his eyes widened, his face showing horror as he looked down to see one of his legs had petrified, turning into a blood-stained patch. Coochi smiled craftily. "I anticipated this kid would definitely do something foolish, so I secretly applied a poison to him. If the power exceeds 1,700 newtons, it causes a backlash." Two Tianfuja on the enemy side hurried over to check on their comrade. "Huan Kung, are you okay? Stop the bleeding quickly." But as soon as they touched his arm wound, they were immediately corroded and dissolved in the blink of an eye. Coochi laughed loudly with sarcasm. "If you touch it, you'll die too, heh." Athoy had now fallen to the ground, sitting down blankly, muttering, "Why did I want to come to a place like this? It's really scary. I don't want to stay here anymore." Phuong Van Keep, standing nearby, heard the story and shook his head softly. This guy started declining from then on. Back at the battlefield, 3 Tianfuji on the enemy side turned into 3 blood pools in just moments. The enemy general's face darkened as he roared, "I just took out the antidote, so why have these three disappeared already?" Coochi dryly laughed with mockery. "You're too shy, ma'am." Serious, the general said, "I received intelligence that 3 gifted traitors fled from Liet Dao country to Thu Vong country. If you continue to obstruct the arrest, we will be forced to take countermeasures." The general's face was cold as ice, nearly snarling. "No one messes with you. Step aside." Coochi remained unfazed, her eyes fixed, pointing at the enemy warship. "I see the large electronic cannon on your ship, probably funded by Dung Thap country. And that bomb too, ha-ha." At this moment, the enemy's camouflage was completely exposed. The general growled with a sharp glare. "The paint is already peeling off. Giving you these extra things, you run around like mad dogs, biting wildly. Are you willing to risk your lives for them?" He paused, his face darkening without another word. Coochi, with a cunning smile, spoke. "I have a good idea you all form an alliance with Thu Vong country. They can assist you there. More importantly, we are kind and sincere friends, not dog trainers ordering you around." "Oh, forgot about that. You said not counting me." She sneered mockingly. "How about this, Mr. Tam Dao, you join Thu Vong nationality? You're also a top-level talent. Go back and give the chief a little gift. Maybe the vice chief of Chung Ho will pass something to you." The general gritted his teeth angrily. "I don't have time to waste words on you. We will immediately enter the border to arrest the traitors. This is the final warning." He signaled, and 2 warriors stepped out of line, followed by 20 soldiers ready to act. Chung Ho stood nearby. Coochi anxiously spoke. "Can't we just delay him a bit more?" "Wait for reinforcements," Coochi answered firmly. "Pointless. All the reliable people have already arrived. Within 100 to 500 kilometers, there is no gifted person capable of changing the outcome of the battle. Even if subordinates below S rank come, it's like salt poured into the sea. Besides, we can wait for rescue vehicles, but do you think they aren't prepared?" Boss Chung Ho tensed his gaze, sweeping toward the enemy. "How do we fight this battle? It's not like there's no chance to win. Da Halao Tam Dao and 8 other S-rank people. The rest, even if you try hard, aren't impossible to handle, right?" Coochi smirked, eyes flashing confidence. "You want to take on 9 people alone? I'm sure you know my strength, right? Hey, outsiders all think I and the chief fought to a draw, but actually I already won. Didn't you forget, moreover, back then you and the chief teamed up, yet still lost to me?" Chung Ho laughed with a bit of bitterness. "Damn, it wasn't that because you tricked me and the chief into drinking strong laxatives." Coochi laughed proudly. "Ha, anyway, I won." On the enemy side, 2 soldiers simultaneously kicked out pills from their pockets, swallowing them fiercely. Following orders, they charged like rabid beasts, full of fierce momentum. Coochi frowned suspiciously. "Sending a few minor characters to die? Could it be they want to probe our strength? Really strange." Suddenly, 20 enemy soldiers shouted in unison, "Long live! Long live!" Their eyes blazing, bodies suddenly sweating profusely, flesh torn apart, pupils blood red. Lao Ha was shocked and yelled, "They've all taken jade fragment pills." He hurriedly raised his hand to signal halt. "Wait, don't rush in." With a shout, Lao Ha raised a massive ice wall as solid as a mountain, the crowd gasping at its grandeur. Lao Ha sweated profusely like taking a bath, breathing weakly. Enough, quickly, give me the 9-heart pill, stop." Lying flat on the ground in pain, groaning, trying to move, but his whole body felt shattered. "Master, my bones are broken. It hurts so much I can't move, boo-hoo." Pham Thien clicked his tongue and rushed over. Enough. Where's the 9-heart pill, which pocket?" At this moment, the ice wall trembled violently under continuous attacks. The ice began to crack. Pham Thien shouted worriedly, "This thickness isn't enough. It can't withstand the jade fragment pills at all. These pills instantly release 100% of the body's energy. Even a cup of water can send a missile back to Moonsphere, let alone gifted individuals." He turned to his teammates urgently. "Quick, those with talent support who can dispel magic, all retreat now." Old Ha, exhausted, collapsed to his knees, gasping, "I can't hold on any longer." Just then a hand reached out holding a 9-heart pellet in front of him. Old Ha swallowed it without hesitation, his eyes gradually regaining their spark. Pham Thien asked anxiously, "Are you feeling better?" Old Ha smiled weakly. "Thank you, Master Pham." He took a deep breath and swung his staff. The crystalline ice layer hardened again, sparkling like jade. A few gifted auxiliaries also stepped forward in unison. "We're here to help you." One shouted loudly, "Metal gives birth to water master of the 5 metals northern desert sand." An enemy soldier stepped up to the ice wall with a disdainful look, threw a powerful punch, and roared, "So hard, let's see me smash it." But the ice wall stood firm without the slightest movement. The enemy spread his arms wide, hugging the ice wall tightly, his eyes blazing like torches as he shouted, "Long live!" Instantly, his body exploded with a terrifying shockwave, causing the ice wall to crack fiercely. The top-tier ice magic that once stopped an IVN bullet now cracked wide simply because one person self-detonated. Commander Chung-ho darkened his face and thought silently, "If they all self-detonate, won't my entire army be wiped out?" Without hesitation, she leapt forward decisively. "Everyone prepare to fight. I'll take care of these bombers before they reach 100% transformation." She punched one enemy flying into the air, who immediately exploded, causing the ice wall to shake violently. The enemy general shouted urgently, "She won't dare fight up close." 4 men tried to block her while the others rushed to break the siege wall and destroy all their combat strength. But by order, 4 enemies charged forward to grab Chung-ho tightly, trying to hold her back. The rest took the opportunity to rush toward the ice wall. First, Chung-ho laughed loudly, her eyes flashing with contempt. "Ha ha, this is making me laugh. You little brats think I'll be scared just because you know how to self-detonate. You underestimate the strongest fighters of Thuvong Nation too much." She burst out with power, throwing all 4 enemies away in the blink of an eye. Chung-ho grabbed 2 of them and spun like a whirlwind, knocking down the whole group. The other 2 she hurled high into the sky. Loud explosions rang out repeatedly, brilliant flames lighting up the entire space. One enemy, still dazed, muttered, "What is this? Such weak force." But before finishing, he was flung into the air by Lu 18 with a flick of his hand. Lu 18 walked slowly with a composed demeanor, the red glow of a cigarette flickering on his lips. Wherever he passed, enemy soldiers were flung into the air one after another. He stopped, exhaled smoke, and said in a low voice, "Time to fall." With that, the enemies flung 10,000 meters up, suffocating from lack of air, lost consciousness, and fell like rain to their deaths. Lu 18 smirked. "Knowing how to fly is useless in a fight. Using talent to free fall cuts down on trouble, huh?" In another corner of the battlefield, a group of enemy gifted were poisoned, their bodies melting like candle wax into pools of blood amidst the chaotic air. Ko. Chi suddenly furrowed his brows, his eyes showing a hint of unease. "Something's not right. I keep feeling off. Even if we defeat them, they still break through Thuvong Nation's territory. Can they stop the other ambushes? If they pass through in less than 7 days, they'll be exhausted and die on the continent. Even if reinforcements arrive, we'll be ready to confront them then. But what's the point of fighting them day after day? Raiding resources also needs a stable environment, right? No matter how you think about it, this is just an invasion with costs greater than the benefits. What exactly do they want?" She turned to Shichnak firmly. "The CAC, 3 minutes left on the countdown, remind me." He was in charge of calculations. 6 or 8 infiltrators predicted, no one spared. Coochi's eyes flashed with killing intent, but suddenly someone blocking in front of him growled, "I heard you're also an S-tier poison user. Check out my poison sword." He swung his sword down but was blocked by a giant skeleton. He clicked his tongue. "No reaction to poison an old S-rank demon beast. Let him have time to think only he can come up with a way." In another corner of the battlefield, an enemy commander gathered energy in his palm, his gaze icy cold. In front of him, Chung-ho, covered in wounds, charged like a whirlwind. The commander was startled and thought, "How is this guy so strong? If he doesn't reveal his trump card, I might die." Buddha's path. Triple victory unleashed power, but at that moment Chung-ho closed in. The commander panicked and quickly used his 8 linked rings for defense, but one punch from Chung-ho severed his arm. The commander was horrified. "I lost an arm but can still wield 3 divine weapons. What kind of monster am I facing?" Chung-ho continuously throws punches, pushing the opponent back, while Fat Do Tam-tun is completely powerless to control him. He mutters, "Must break through the 4 cities, what now?" Unlike facing off alone on a battlefield with ever-changing tactics playing the trump card, but failing to kill me. Suddenly, the commander smiles wickedly. Looks like it's even more favorable than expected. Coochi, standing not far away, hears Trung-Ho's furious roar. "Damn, Doksai, are you going to fight or not?" Coochi laughs dryly with sarcasm. "Shut up, don't bother me. Didn't I say just hand over Kong-A and the S level to me? You talk like you're farting." Coochi's mind spins relentlessly, muttering what to do next. I don't even know their goal this time. If I can't win, what should I do? Just then, an enemy prepares to strike them. Coochi suddenly jolts awake, eyes sharp and cold. Wait, if neither side can settle this, let them resolve it themselves. Her figure suddenly vanishes, escaping. The one appearing behind the ambusher speaks coldly. "I know what you're after." The enemy startles and quickly backs away, unwilling to continue the attack. He turns and rushes away like the wind. Coochi smirks dryly. "Haha, you've been tricked by me." She is beside Trung-Ho, fiercely fighting the opponent. Suddenly sensing a dangerous flash of light, she shouts loudly, "Where did this brat come from?" Turning urgently to Tamdao. "Lord Tamdao, why are you here?" It seems Doksai already knows our secret. Tamdao ignores the words. Trung-Ho immediately leaves with that man. He shouts, "All S-level obey orders, prioritize killing Doksai. No matter the cost, eliminate him." As soon as the order is given, an enemy S-level prodigy immediately charges forward, eyes blazing with murderous intent. "Go, go, 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 go!" Did the boss really tell us to come here in such a hurry? Trung-Ho, standing in the midst of the siege, sighs. Are they seriously calling the whole gang here? This Doksai is quite capable, but before she can recover, she is surrounded and attacked again by the enemy. She angrily shouts, "Oh my God, can't they give me a break?" Meanwhile, in another corner, Ha Lao keeps fighting without pause. The icy sword in his hand shoots straight at the opponent. The opposing enemy raises a shield to block the attack. He turns to run toward his teammates to regroup. Lord Tamdao orders, "Hurry up and get over there." But Ha Lao and Tudiep's sharp, icy blades wrap tightly around him, preventing escape. The old man sighs weakly. "Doksai can't handle those S-levels. I can only take them one by one." Puff, puff. If only I were 10 years younger. Before he finishes, another enemy charges in. A giant mace swings straight at Ha Lao's head. He roars, "Don't interfere. A BC, what are you waiting for? Hurry up." Ha Lao collapses, blood staining the battlefield red, leaving the space sinking into deadly silence. From afar, Athoi watches, wide-eyed, heart tightening master. He turns toward Coochi, now surrounded by a deadly hail of bullets. An enemy Taoist shouts, coordinating smoothly to suppress her with our side. Interior battle turns into the cage of endless torment. Coochi springs up, eyes cold and voice full of sarcasm. "If you had a bit more pull, I might actually give up." But at that moment, the Van Quan Chuan strike descends its terrifying pressure, making her falter. Coochi mutters under her breath to several combined S-levels, "You're really a bit useless." Another enemy takes the chance to rush forward with a sinister grin. "Ah, your hands are restrained so you can't poison anymore, right? One kick and I'll stomp right through you." But Coochi is not fazed, laughing coldly. The poison suddenly flares up around me. "Heh, is this really all an S-level like you's got?" This little bit of poison vaporizes completely on contact with the electric shock on my legs. Unexpectedly, a single drop of poison hits the enemy's face, causing him to immediately collapse and die on the spot. Coochi's mouth spreads the toxic mist widely. "You're standing way too close." The remaining Taoist enemy, terrified, activates a paired technique as his eyes flash brightly. When detecting the dense, poisonous gas emanating from her mouth, the group quickly stepped back to create space. Taking the opportunity like lightning, Chi grabbed a Taoist thief, her cold eyes. "You shouldn't rush out alone like that. No one will be able to protect you." With one hand, she twisted his neck until it broke instantly. But at that moment, another person attacked from behind a sword flash appeared. Having just killed, her body relaxed. Right people were waiting for this exact moment. Coochi was slashed, fresh blood gushed out, and her body fell to the ground. Wiping the blood near her eye, she pondered, her gaze still sharp. "What a waste of half a day. 6 remain in the heavenly force, yet they don't know how long I can hold out." Tamdao stepped forward, his cold gaze and deep voice issued an order. "Everyone listen carefully. This will determine whether we can quickly end the battle or not." He turned to the fake talent who used alchemy and had just been examined, nodding. Mr. Tamdao activated the 8-foot Magatama to clearly see the truth. Tamdao's eyes lit up, revealing the truth through the Magatama for the first time. He sneered coldly, "I see your contempt." When he opened his mouth to spit poison, I recognized the Tan system formation. He's not a fake talent using poison at all. He only borrowed a body implanted with a spatial poison formation exploiting the flesh to trigger and release poison. He waved the glowing Magatama. Next, I will use the Magatama to transmit the location of the formation on him to everyone. Haha, I see it now. Such a sneaky trick, I wasted time thinking you were a real opponent. The poison is now ineffective. At best, you're just an ordinary person with a talent for enhancement. Coochi tore open her outer shirt, her eyes sharp as a blade, laughing loudly. Oh, really? Without hesitation, she rushed forward like lightning. Tam Dao snorted coldly. A few small ants see a crack in the rock and think they can break it. Ridiculous. But even knowing Coochi would release poison, he couldn't react in time. In front of her, a sudden protective formation appeared, a poison barrier. Tam Dao roared, "Didn't you say you could see through the formation on me and neutralize it? Let's see if your formation or my poison is stronger." Coochi glanced at the rot between her hands, her voice low. "It's not deadly. It's a plague-like poison. Why hesitate?" She dashed straight out, her eyes blazing, wanting to force me to use up my energy first to stay safe. I'm not afraid because I have an antidote. But just as Coochi was about to succeed, a huge figure suddenly blocked her path, shouting loudly from here. Suddenly, he threw a powerful punch that hit Cochi's poison armor, sending her flying back. The big guy smirked, his voice full of respect. "To be able to fight a Grandmaster of Liet Dao Kingdom this far, you truly are a worthy opponent." Even with half her teeth broken, Coochi stood up, fresh blood smeared on her lips. But her eyes flashed with cunning as if to threaten me. A bunch of fools have been tricked again. Now is not the time. I need to lure the enemy deeper before being wiped out. I can still drag down 2 more to slaughter. She continuously dodged, retreating, skillfully evading the relentless attacks. The enemy roared angrily. "Your attack range is too short! Get out of the way! Get out of the way, don't block me!" But another suddenly realized and shouted, "What's going on here? Didn't you rehearse this before? Didn't you see it? He's using the spatial limitation I created to counter me." Mr. Tam Dao's cold eyes ordered, change the formation coordinate front and back, create more maneuvering space. The Vanguard's barrier will block his view of attacks from behind, allowing a surprise knockout. The enemies laughed loudly in unison. "Ha ha, go ahead, finally we can fight one by one." Yeah, but Coochi is not the least bit shaken, smirking. Changing the formation sounds good to me. She activated her poison armor confidently. "My defense ranks just behind Mr. Tam Dao's red glass. Don't dream of injuring me with this trick." Just as the second poison wave was about to be released, an enemy from behind rushed forward yelling, "Liet fire hell!" The terrifying heat burst, aiming to burn the formation on Coochi's body. He laughed triumphantly. "Let's see how you'll spit poison now." But at that moment his face turned pale as a cold, sharp sword pierced straight through his chest, tearing apart his defense. Coochi sneered coldly, "Your defense ranks only behind 8 Qi Jing, but my attack is not inferior. This is the Thao Chi sword method of 10,000 calamities." Upon hearing this, a skeptical voice interjected, "Srank, dying that easily like it's a joke." He burst out laughing, eyes sparkling. "Anyway, in such a twisted, advanced layout, S-rank talent is just decoration." He turned to Coochi, his tone mixed with respect. "So how can a lone assassin kill 2 S-rank people at the same time? He unleashes his talent." "Heh, that's right. I've been holding back until now to activate my talent." Everyone witnessing Coochi's talent for the first time was stunned. No one expected her to possess a pure combat talent hidden behind a cunning, poisonous facade.